Chapter 41 The Eight Inner Gates. Faced with Gong Yi's second-best request, Jiraiya was embarrassed. Instead, the three generations stared at Jiraiya with a smile. I'd love to see this, but it's up to Jiraiya. Jiraiya scratched her head, but she didn't speak very well. After all, her teacher told Gong Yi to make a request. It took only 3 generations to reject Gong Yi's first request. If the second request was also rejected, it would be like an adult cheating a child. Jiraiya asked with a headache, "Why do you want me to accept you as an apprentice?" Gong Yi blinked his eyes and said harmlessly, "Because you are very strong, Jiraiya-sama. And you have taught a strong person like Minato-senpai. I think my talent is not bad. If you teach me, I can make a bigger contribution to the village than Minato-senpai." Quote. Gong Yi said so, very much favored by 3 generations. In fact, if Jiraiya really agreed, Gong Yi would certainly not lose. Jiraiya is a disciple, and his ability is not as good as the 3 generations, but he is not weak. Not to mention Namikaze Minato, the 3 children in the Rain Nation religion alone are also very strong. Yahiko, Nagato, Konan. Yahiko, the founder of Akatsuki, almost became the new leader of the Land of Rain. Nagato succeeded Akatsuki, destroying Konoha with a pair of Rinnegan. Konan is not weak either. That 600 billion detonating talisman trap almost made Hokage come to an end. And to become Jiraiya's apprentice, you can have a good relationship with the 4th generation, and you can also get in touch with Mount Myoboku, one of the 3 holy lands. Mount Myoboku is the place to practice sage art. With Jiraiya's generosity, there is no reason not to let his apprentices get in touch with sage art. In fact, 4 generations of Namikaze Minato, Naruto, have successfully entered Mount Myoboku and practiced sage art. The 3 generations watched this scene with a smile. Jiraiya, teach the next generation of the village, but every Jonin needs to do things. You are used to being sloppy every day, and you should contribute to the village. Jiraiya smiled wryly, then said with a scowling face, "Oh, I already have a Namikaze Minato that annoys me, so please stop stuffing me here, sensei." He turned his head, looked at Gong Yi, and said seductively, "Why don't you go to Orochimaru, or Tsunade? Orochimaru hasn't accepted an apprentice yet, and neither does Tsunade." Gong Yi stopped talking, just looked at the 3 generations. The 3rd generation is also a little embarrassed. He actually told Orochimaru about this. But Orochimaru just went to investigate Gong Yi, and did not reveal whether he was going to accept an apprentice. On Tsunade's side, the situation was a little more complicated. The other party was in a very bad state and was not suitable for taking apprentices. "Jiraiya, are you really going to stop thinking about it?" Jiraiya jumped up the window painfully. "I don't want to teach my disciples. Little guy, it's not that I look down on you, it's just that I'm afraid of trouble. Otherwise, I will teach you a ninjutsu as compensation in the future." After speaking, Jiraiya jumped out of the window and ran. Seeing this scene, the 3 generations could not laugh or cry. Just that when he looked at Gong Yi again, he became very guilty. Let the other party make a request, but 2 very normal requests were rejected. They are all grown-ups. Gong Yi is actually only 8 years old. If this is spread out, it would not be a joke. "Gong Yi, I'm really sorry." Gong Yi shook his head sensible. "It's okay, Lord Hokage, I'm asking too much." When he said this, the 3rd generation was even more uncomfortable. He actually understands Gong Yi's thinking very well. A war orphan, a civilian ninja with no background, and basically he will not have a very good teacher. Originally, I arranged Igashwanji for him, which was considered a good treatment. But this time Igashwanji has broken his arm and is disabled, and even the hand seal is troublesome, and he can no longer be Gong Yi's teacher. Otherwise, you have another request. This time, I will definitely satisfy you." Seeing the guilt and promise of the 3 generations, Gong Yi smiled in his heart. Whether it was asking 3 generations to be a teacher, or asking Jiraiya to accept him as a disciple, Gong Yi actually predicted the result. But this is his strategy of retreating into advance. Gong Yi pretended to be embarrassed, and after careful consideration, he formally said, "Since no teacher is willing to accept me, then I want to find a high-level ninjutsu. It's better to be an S-rank 1, which can save my life at a critical moment." Third generation was stunned, and after a while, he slowly said, "Then you wait for me here, and I will be right back." Gong Yi nodded. A few minutes later, the 3 generations went and returned, and in his hand was a thick book. This is the seal book of forbidden technique in the village. It records the advanced ninjutsu developed and collected by Hokage in the past dynasties, but many of them are dangerous to the body, so they are rarely seen. Except for the ninjas who have made great achievements, it is difficult for ordinary people to compare CU. Listening to the introduction of the 3 generations of Hokage, Gong Yi was sure. The sealed book. This is your goal. In Gong Yi's judgment, with his mission contribution, as well as his identity background, it's actually hard to watch the Book of Seals. But if there is a previous foreshadowing, then in the minds of the 3 generations, it is not impossible for Gong Yi to watch the Book of Seals. After all, the above ninjutsu is powerful, but if you want to learn it, it is another problem. You go through the introduction of ninjutsu, and then choose another one. But I have to remind you that the above ninjutsu are extremely difficult to learn, and even cause intractable damage. Once you choose, you can't choose again. And the reward for this mission is so far. Quote. Gong Yi hummed, his eyes were already on the Book of Seals. After a while, Gong Yi pointed to a ninjutsu name and called out. "I'm picking the 8 inner gates. Equals. P.S. The new week starts, please support me. Flowers, evaluation tickets, thank you all. It is still 5 times a day, stable and constant, and each chapter has a lot of words." Chapter 42 Konoha's Last Barrier. Konoha's Book of Seals is well known, and Gong Yi has also checked relevant information in his previous life. But crossing over, this is the first time he has come into contact with it. During his browsing, he found that the ninjutsu recorded above were not just the ones that were revealed. In addition to the well-known Hiraishin, Shadow Clone, and Impure World Reincarnation, there are many unknown ninjutsu. But as the 3 generations said, it is extremely difficult to cultivate, and it will even cause huge backlash damage to the caster, so few people practice. Naturally, a lot of ninjutsu has become forbidden technique, which is not known. Just like the 2 ninjutsu that Gong Yi just saw, they actually need the corresponding Kekkei Genkei to perform, no wonder they are not revealed to the world. It is precisely because there are so many advanced ninjutsu or forbidden technique that it can be compiled into a book. If there are only a few ninjutsu techniques, then there is no such thing as a sealed book. Gong Yi would definitely choose Impure World Reincarnation if possible. However, the 3rd generation would definitely not agree to let him practice this technique, and would even suspect him. Next step, Gong Yi can only target other ninjutsu. The technique of Hiraishin, traveling at home, killing people and stealing goods, must have ninjutsu. Unfortunately, the talent requirements for time-space ninjutsu are too high, and it is impossible to learn it directly. Even Namikaze Minato was made master by combining the technique of Shuriken, the sealing technique of the Uzumaki family, and his superb talent in time and space. Gong Yi didn't have any research on sealing, so he gave up this option. It wasn't until the end that he set his sights on the 8 inner gates. The power of the technique of the 8 inner gates is beyond doubt, everyone who understands it. And his existence, naturally, will not be the founder of the rumored Might Guy's father, Might Dai. In fact, this ninjutsu has already appeared in the Sengoku period. When Uchiha Madara was resurrected by Impure World Reincarnation, when he saw Might Guy open the last door, he said the relevant evaluation. From this, we can know that this ninjutsu once appeared in Sengoku. In this way, it is only natural that Konoha can collect this ninjutsu. Gong Yi had chosen. The 3 generations were ready to lift the seal and let him record the corresponding cultivation knowledge. He hesitated when he heard the words, the 8 inner gates. Gong Yi, you have seen the consequences of learning this ninjutsu. Are you sure you want to practice the 8 inner gates? Gong Yi nodded, sure. My chakra is too low to make much progress in my ninjutsu practice. The 8 inner gates, it's perfect for me. Your body will not be able to bear it. Lord Hokage, please believe me. In school, I am the most diligent in exercising. Even Might Guy can't compare to me. I have confidence to learn this technique. Gong Yi paused and said seriously, if the village encounters a strong enemy in the future, no one can resist. I will choose to open the last door, burst out the power beyond the shadow, and protect the village. The 3 generations stared at Gong Yi, as if to see him clearly from the inside out. He knew the power of the 8 inner gates, the power of the 8 inner gates, beyond the cage level. Although it has not been verified, the reason why the rumors are so spread, I believe it will not be too weak. Not to mention surpassing cage level, but at least it has the same power as cage level. If Gong Yi really has the determination to defend the village to the death, then this ninjutsu will be worth handing over to Gong Yi. I hope you will become the village, the last barrier. As you wish, Lord Hokage. The 3rd generation no longer hesitated to lift the seal of related ninjutsu, allowing Gong Yi to start to remember the cultivation knowledge of the 8 inner gates. Open, break, live, hurt, stop, seen, startle, die. This is 8. It exists in everyone's body and inhibits the flow of chakra. The human body is a very fragile thing, and chakra is a double-edged sword that can hurt the enemy as well as yourself. Therefore, the existence of the 8 gates effectively inhibits the flow of chakra that exceeds its own capacity and avoids injury to the human body. In a sense, this is a human instinct. And the 8 inner gates is a high-level physique that teaches ninjas how to open the 8 gates as safely as possible and mobilize chakras far beyond their own limits. But that being said, it seems that with this physical art, anyone can practice the 8 inner gates, master the 8 inner gates, anyone can become a master of physical art. Actually, it's not that simple. Once you get a chakra that is far beyond your normal state, your body cannot match it at all. At the moment when the huge chakra flows through the body, perhaps the meridians, organs, and internal organs will be destroyed in an instant. Therefore, if you want to fight without pressure after opening the 8 gates, and not die on the spot after the 8 gates are over, the strong endurance of the body is a very necessary thing. Unconventional, overloaded, over-the-limit long training sessions. In this way, various parts and organs of the body can be exercised to adapt to the load after opening, and the damage to the body caused by the huge energy after opening can be minimized. Gong Yi took a deep breath. He fulfilled all these requirements. After 4 consecutive years of basic training, completing the undead Shaoqiang task, the terrifying oppression under 11 times the gravity, his physique is called pervert. With the exception of some ninjas who use secret techniques to stimulate cellular activity, Gong Yi believes that few people can keep up with his state after he released the 11 gravity technique. The elite Jonin of Hiroshi Kazama, who was instantly defeated by his physical skills, is a living example. Since I have met this requirement, I might as well give it a try and open the first door. Open, open. Chapter 43. Open 3 doors in an instant. Third more. The first gate of the 8 inner gates, open it. After it is turned on, the restriction of the brain domain is lifted, so as to achieve the purpose of exerting 100% of the physical ability, and the overload consumes the energy of the body to improve the speed and strength. After opening, you can use the attached ninjutsu, Table Lotus. Gong Yi tried to open the first gate according to the practice method of the 8 inner gates. With almost nothing standing in the way, he succeeded. There was no chakra color flowing on the body. Gong Yi just felt that the whole body was different after his success. He seems to be able to mobilize every part of his body, every joint, every part of his body, to become his weapon. Gong Yi understands that this is what happens when the brain restriction is lifted. Gong Yi wanted to try this state, so he got up, ran around the forest first, and kicked a giant tree in front of him with all his strength. Counting the running time and the damage to the giant tree, Gong Yi frowned. The effect doesn't seem to be as good as expected. Suddenly, Gong Yi thought of something. The 8 Inner Gates is not a physical art that adds power to the original. It is an advanced physical technique that unlocks as many tricks as possible according to factors such as physical strength and endurance. That is to say, opening the door, the benefit to him is only to unlock the limitation of the brain domain, and other improvements such as strength and speed are not great. His own body has already reached the level after opening the door. Gong Yi frowned, recalling the Hokage plot. Remember, during the exam phase, Li Chunin was able to open 4 doors normally, and in the end, he tried his best to open 5 doors. Even nearly beat Gaara. Obviously, Gaara at that time had the level of Jonin. Because little Li cannot master ninjutsu, his strength is only at the level of Chunin. But little Li's physical fitness, at that stage, should have reached the level of Jonin, otherwise he wouldn't be able to support him to beat Gaara so embarrassed. After all, even Sasuke's double Tomo blood wheel eyes can't keep up with his speed. My current physical quality is definitely better than when I was young Li, so my limit is definitely not 4 doors. To understand these things, Gong Yi's doubts disappeared. Not that the 8 inner gates are too weak, but their accumulation is too terrifying. In fact, after the door was opened, it brought him a certain improvement, but compared to his original speed and strength, it was not so obvious. Just like Might Guy in the later stage of Hokage, because the accumulation is enough, when fighting, many times, it will not open too many doors, but jump directly to a certain door behind. The reason is that the first few doors did not improve him very much, and there were a lot of sequelae, so it is better to open stronger doors directly and suffer less backlash. In addition to opening the 8 gates, cast the formation of the 8 inner gates. Gong Yi tries to open the second door, Hugh. Resting the door, relieve the physical fatigue limit, overload the body to squeeze the energy to restore the physical strength, and offset the fatigue caused by the energy consumption speed of opening the door. 2 hours later, Gong Yi opened his eyes with the sound of breaking from somewhere in his body. He threw a punch out of thin air, feeling nothing. Like the introduction, the effect of closing the door is only to assist after the door is opened. Gong Yi felt this feeling, the limitation of brain area was lifted, and the limitation of physical fatigue was lifted. Although the lifting effect was not obvious, it could fully mobilize the joints of the body, and the extraction speed of chakra became faster. The duration is about 10 minutes. I have just become a master. If I am skilled enough, this time should be able to increase. According to the introduction, the 3rd door is the last safe area, and the 4th door will be physically damaged. If this is the case, then usually keeping the front 3 doors open without encountering great danger can achieve a better combat effect. From this point of view, the so-called the 8 inner gates, the first 3 gates are in the combat auxiliary stage. The middle 3 gates are in a relatively normal fighting state. And the last 2 gates. The ultimate physique in a desperate fight. Gong Yi was thoughtful, and he felt that there was nothing wrong with his thinking. Ding! The familiar system sound suddenly sounded. Research topic: Analysis of the 8 inner gates. The current progress is 13/100. Reward: 50 points of learning hegemony. Research topic: Master the 8 inner gates. Current progress: open the door, close the door. Reward: 50 points of learning hegemony. Gong Yi grinned. Ninjutsu research would have corresponding topics, but he did not expect that there would also be taijutsu research, and 2 topics appeared at once. Especially this reward. It is actually 5 times as much as studying C-rank ninjutsu. I have to say, Gong Yi is heartbroken. Action is better than heartbeat. Gong Yi once again accelerated the practice of the 8 inner gates. The 3rd door, the life door. Open. The body begins to congeal and become Yuhi, surrounded by green energy rays. It's not the color of Mokudan wood style, but the glow of the body's energy leaking out. As the last safe zone of the 8 inner gates, at this moment, Gong Yi finally felt that obvious feeling of strengthening. Feeling the condition of his body, Gong Yi nodded. Sure enough, with my accumulation, I can open the first 3 doors without any pressure. But today's practice of the 8 inner gates will stop here. The energy of the body has been greatly depleted. Although it has not hurt the body, the depletion of the energy of the body will affect the extraction of chakra. The control of the two must be maintained within a reasonable range. Quote. Gong Yi released the 8th door state and used a healing technique for himself, and his state was instantly full. Healing is what gives Gong Yi the confidence to practice the 8 inner gates. He is not afraid of physical injuries, especially during training. The effect of the healing technique can allow him to safely pass the training period, and even after the battle, he does not need to fall into the state of Little Li. Of course, with the 8 gates fully open to form the 8 inner gates, Gong Yi was still a little hesitant. According to the introduction, after the formation of the 8 inner gates, the caster will collapse and die directly. There is a good chance that healing techniques will not be able to heal quickly. But by then, he should have upgraded it to the advanced academic master skill, obtained the creation and regeneration, and should be able to withstand it. Moreover, he didn't rely on the advanced physical skills of the 8 inner gates to conquer the world. He didn't want to become the disabled appearance of Might Guy in the future. As for what he said to the old man of the 3rd Hokage. If Konoha doesn't let me down, then I'll be the last barrier for Konoha, so why not? Chapter 44 Teaching Students in Accordance with Their Aptitude. The breeze is mild and the sun is just right. The life of a ninja who does not perform tasks is actually quite pleasant, especially for ordinary people. After learning about the task system of the major ninja villages, especially the task system of Konoha, Gong Yi understood why in the plot, people such as Kakashi and Jiraiya are very leisurely in their daily lives. They are rich. In the ninja world, the common currency is 2. The simplest D-level task, the general reward is around 500 or 600 taels. C-level tasks are generally personal tasks, which are generated by personal application, and most of them are escort-type tasks, and the task reward is between 12,000 and 50,000 taels. The B-level mission involves ninja fighting, and there is life and death in the battle. The reward is very high, between 52,000 and 150,000. A-level quests, quests of the country or the movement of the village. Join the war at the request of another country. The reward is about between 150,000 and 1 million taels. Occasionally, the guards of some important people can also be counted in it. As for the high-level S-level tasks, they join the war at the request of other countries for confidential matters related to the national level. There are also assassinations of important people, stealing confidential documents, etc., and the rewards are generally over 1 million. Super S-level quests, and some underground black market quests, Gong Yi still can't get in touch, but if he wants to come, the reward can reach millions or even tens of millions of taels, and there may be other types of rewards. If you use Huasha's currency, yuan, and liang, to convert, according to the purchasing power, 1 liang is about 3 yuan. Like the ramen that Naruto likes to eat, it is usually 6 taels, which is 18 yuan in Huasha world. Once you complete the simplest low-level task, you can get 500 taels, about 1500 yuan. If the S-level mission is completed, it will be at least 1 million taels and as high as 3 million yuan. With so much money, as long as ninjas are not contaminated with gambling, almost all of them are invisible rich. After Gong Yi completed the task before, because of his outstanding performance, he was allocated 700,000 taels. He is now a full-fledged little rich man, and at least for the next few years, his life will be free of any pressure. High reward means high risk, and high risk means that tasks cannot be done too frequently. Especially this time, the leader of the Iga team had a broken arm, Gong Yi was also seriously injured, and 2 people, such as Ogawara and Hyuga Kianzong, were also fleeing. So the village gave their team a vacation. It wasn't long, but it was 3 months. During this period, let them rest, improve their strength, and replenish their ninja tools. Iga broke a hand and could not go out to perform tasks in the future. This team has actually died in name only. However, before the new captain came down, Iga Kawaji was still the captain, so he still did what the captain should do. Looking at the 3 teenagers in front of him, Iga Kawaji had a clue in his heart. During the break, the captain needs to help the team members improve their strength and correct their mistakes in cultivation. How to teach ninjas is a bit unfamiliar to him, but correcting mistakes, with the knowledge of his elite Jonin, is still no problem. Kionzong, you are a member of the Hyuga family. Although you are a branch, your studies also belong to the family's ninjutsu. I can't give much advice. But in my opinion, your taijutsu is enough, but in terms of defense, but it's a little worse. Hyuga Kionzong nodded, but there was nothing he could do. The Hyuga clan naturally has defensive ninjutsu with Byakugan, but it is not something that one of his branch children can learn. In this regard, the opinion given by Iga Xuanji is to let Hyuga Kionzong learn 1 or 2 low-level defensive ninjutsu. Whether it is Sweetened Water style or Doden Earth style, there are similar ninjutsu. Although it is not as good as the secret skills of the Hyuga clan, it can barely make up for his shortcomings. As for the original, Iga Xuanji touched his chin and thought for a while. Your shortcoming is mainly that the chakra refining speed is too slow. I suggest you use ninjutsu more during training, consume chakra, and then quickly refine it to familiarize yourself with the process. Ogawara snorted and practiced according to what Iga Kawaji did. Gong Yi looked at Iga Kawaji's teaching and nodded secretly. This is teaching in accordance with aptitude. When Iga Kawaji saw himself, Gong Yi was very curious. What would this Jonin, who was originally arranged by the 3 generations of Hokage to be his teacher, teach him? Iga Xuanji was also a little embarrassed. When he was in the land of rain, he realized that his teammate's strength was by no means as simple as it appeared on the surface. At least it's close to Jonin's level. Because Gong Yi hides too much, he is not easy to teach. Gong Yi, tell me first, what you are good at, and lastly, be more detailed, so I can give you advice. Gong Yi pondered for a while, then said, what I am good at is Doden Earth style ninjutsu and taijutsu. Then you first perform a physical technique. Okay. Gong Yi didn't hesitate. It doesn't matter if the body skills are exposed, anyone can practice this stuff. When Gong Yi showed his unparalleled speed and super strength, Iga Kawaji finally understood why Gong Yi gave him a feeling close to Jonin's strength. Too fast, too much power. Just a simple punch can make the stout tree tremble, which is the result of Gong Yi's restraint of strength. Iga Kawaji shook his head and said, in terms of physical skills, you are already very strong. However, you lack corresponding advanced physical skills. Master's skills are only some basic skills. Gong Yi was not surprised by this result. In addition to his fists and feet, he also had a set of joint techniques developed by himself. Order the 8 inner gates from the 3rd generation. He is proficient in the 8 inner gates master. He will also have an extra hole card when using his physical skills to deal with the enemy. Kionzong is a member of the Hyuga family. The Hyuga family is best at physical arts. You can usually have a discussion with him. But you'd better restrain your strength. Kionzong can't afford it. Gong Yi looked at Hyuga Kionzong, who also looked over at this time and nodded. Just now, during Gong Yi's presentation, Hyuga Kionzong watched the whole process. He didn't believe that his small body could resist the opponent. Gong Yi, do your ninjutsu again. Doden Earth style, I'm just good at this. Gong Yi thought about it, kept the rock armor, and performed other Doden Earth style ninjutsu one by one. After Iga Kawaji watched it, his eyes lit up. You are very proficient at it. Master's Doden Earth style ninjutsu, there are many. Gong Yi smiled and said, it's all thanks to the school's teacher Ishikawa, who helped me a lot. Ishikawa and Igagawa knew each other, and the other party is also considered a veteran Chunin, who is a good Doden Earth-style master. However, Gongyi, your Doden Earth-style ninjutsu is too rough. It will make your foundation unstable. Rough. Gongyi's eyes showed confusion. He always felt that he was only lacking in high-level Doden Earth-style ninjutsu. Unexpectedly, Iga Kawaji thought that he was not even a master of low-level ninjutsu. Chapter 45 3 Research Topics The fifth update. Perhaps because of a broken hand, some thoughts were also broken. Iga Kawaji's heart is no longer as cold as before, and the rest of his life is planned to be managed well. For a few of his teammates, during this period of time, he also intends to teach a good lesson. After a cough, Iga Kawaji simply called Ogawara over to talk about some ninjutsu-related knowledge. Ninjutsu, because of the different nature of chakra, is divided into 5 basic escape techniques: wind, thunder, water, fire and earth. Each type of escape technique has its own advantages. Futon wind style is sharp, Raiden thunder style is fierce, and Suiten water style can be firm or soft, with different shapes. Kaiden fire style is our village. Among them, the escape technique that master is best at, Kaiden fire style ninjutsu, mostly covers a large area and is scorching hot. Quote, "What I do best is Doden Earth style, and I'm going to talk about Doden Earth style today." Doden Earth style ninjutsu is characterized by being steady and sturdy, and easy to release, because there is mud everywhere. Except for the sea. Ogawara suddenly asked, "Is there also in the sky?" Iga Shuanji smiled and said, "Of course there is in the sky. That kind of dust is very small and hard to see with the naked eye, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. If you don't believe it, you can find a place where sunlight penetrates the darkness and you can see it, floating in the light. Dust." After explaining this issue, Iga Kawaji also talked about the corresponding relationship between ninjutsu restraint. Earth overcomes water, water overcomes fire, fire overcomes wind, wind overcomes thunder, and thunder overcomes earth. This is the most direct relationship of restraint. Of course, when it is strong enough to restrain the relationship, it will not be so obvious. Faced with this explanation, Gongyi pondered. He used Kaiden fire style to restrain Futon wind style of Kazama Pingche before, but it was directly broken by the other party, thinking that the gap was too large. After talking about restraint, Iga Kawaji suddenly mentioned another point of knowledge. Chakra is the foundation, and proficiency in ninjutsu is the key, but the power of ninjutsu involves morphological changes, and nature transformation. Iga Chuan looked at Gongyi suddenly. "Your Doden Earth style ninjutsu is very rough. All low-level ninjutsu actually involve corresponding morphological changes, but there is no deep-level development, forming unique morphological changes. Ultimate. You overlooked that." Gongyi was stunned for a moment. It turned out to be this. The captain was right. In order to reduce the consumption of chakra, he mostly saved the chakra required for the form change of low-level ninjutsu. Such as his soil flow wall, it is just a lump of very solid soil. His rock Jinchuriki column gun, also different from normal. Iga Kawaji warned, through a lot of low-level ninjutsu masters, you are familiar with the most basic form changes. At this level, you can try to go to the high-level form changes of masters. Gongyi, your current strength should have exceeded Chunin, close to the level of Jonin. If you want to increase your strength, you should try to go this way. Quote. It has been 3 days since Iga Kawaji gave the lecture. For the past 3 days, Gongyi has been studying the issue of morphological change. When it comes to form changes, Gongyi thinks of Rasengan, a ninjutsu technique. This is the most famous form-changing ninjutsu in the Hokage world, and it's still a non-attribute ninjutsu that doesn't require hand seal. In Gongyi's view, Rasengan is a bug, and it can grow. Now that he recalled Rasengan, Gongyi also began to study, how will Rasengan strengthen his own strength? My physical skills will improve by leaps and bounds after I get the 8 inner gates, but the enhancement of my physical fitness is not something that can be achieved overnight, it will take time to accumulate. In terms of ninjutsu, low-level ninjutsu can only play a role in assisting and restraining the enemy. I need a powerful ninjutsu that is finalized. Rasengan, if you can cooperate with your taijutsu, its power will be even greater than that of Naruto's master. Thinking of this, Gang Yi began to be moved. Advanced ninjutsu is actually difficult to learn, and most of them can only be rewarded by the village by completing difficult tasks. That's what Gang Yi's experience with the 8 inner gates was like. However, in addition to the high risk, the difficult tasks are also a problem due to the small number of tasks, which can be said to be unattainable. Rasengan's ninjutsu is different. Cultivation is difficult, but there are steps to follow. With a little talent, you can master quickly. It took 3 years to develop the 4th generation of Hokage plus Master Rasengan. But such as Jiraiya, Kakashi, Naruto, it didn't take long to learn. Gang Yi knows how to cultivate, although his talent is not high, but with the help of the Shuiba system, it won't take much time to think about it. Ding! Research topic: Master Ninjutsu form changes. Ninjutsu form changes. Any ninjutsu has its form. Develop and add 2 masters to the form changes of Jonin. Reward: 100 academic points. Hearing this familiar voice, Gang Yi couldn't help but feel joy in his heart. Sure enough, it was the right choice to upgrade to the academic rank at that time. The first level scholar rank has too many restrictions. You can only have 3 academic master skills, and can only support 1 research topic, and the number of tasks released is very small. But after rising to the 2nd level, you can have 5 academic master skills, and can support more than 2 research topics at the same time. Not long after I upgraded myself, 3 research topics appeared in a row. Parsing the 8 inner gates. Master the 8 inner gates. Develop and master 2 or more ninjutsu form changes. If you do it all by yourself, wouldn't it add up to 200 points of mastery, and you can completely upgrade a mastery skill? Gang Yi muttered to himself, and suddenly there was momentum in his heart. Chapter 46 New Captain. Rasengan, Class A Ninjutsu without hand seal. Gang Yi, who knew the specific cultivation method, quickly prepared for the corresponding cultivation. Balloons, rubber balls, it is easy to buy a lot. Injecting water into the balloon, Gang Yi tried to run the chakra, accelerating it, breaking the water balloon. This step, Gang Yi spent almost no effort, completed quickly. Then water is poured into the rubber ball. Gang Yi holds the rubber ball with one hand and controls the chakra to rotate in one direction according to Naruto's training method. With the speed of rotation, it gets faster and faster. Boom! The rubber ball burst. Okay, the second stage is also easy to pass. Gang Yi's eyes narrowed. The next stage is the third, and the most important stage. Reaching out with one hand, chakra gathered on the hand, and flowed from slow to fast according to the previous rotation direction. A spiral-shaped chakra ball that gradually takes shape. Just when Gang Yi was surprised, suddenly chakra lost control, and with a bang, Gang Yi's hands were dripping with blood. It's a little dangerous, but it doesn't hurt. Gang Yi's mind moved slightly, the healing technique was released, and the hands that were injured by the blast quickly recovered as before, without any injuries. If there is only a low-level recovery technique, it would be very dangerous for me to practice Rasengan, but if there is a healing technique, I don't care about it. Gang Yi smiled and repeated the previous work again. To be honest, Rasengan's cultivation is actually not difficult. Especially for those who have very strong chakra control, this ninjutsu is quite simple. Maybe the only thing you need to pay attention to is the damage caused during the cultivation process. Naruto said he learned Rasengan so quickly. In fact, he opened multiple shadow clone hooks, as well as the powerful Uzumaki bloodline, and Kyuubi 9 tails provided almost unlimited chakra. But if these factors are combined, Gang Yi's practice of Rasengan is easier than Naruto. He has healing skills, and in the process of cultivation, chakra can be regarded as infinite. The physical damage was faster than Naruto's recovery. And when it comes to chakra control, Gong Yi is no weaker than anyone. With a mental power of up to 30 points, and the use of chakra sparingly over the years, his control of chakra has reached its peak. Like climbing trees and walking on water, he completed it very early, with almost no pressure. As also the case, even if there is no multiple shadow clone, the experience doubling super add-on, Gong Yi Master Rasengan, didn't take long. 5 days. Just 5 days, 2 days less than Naruto in the original book. Feeling the spinning chakra ball in his hand, Gong Yi smiled. He could imagine that if he used his physical skills, he would approach the enemy at high speed. Then release Rasengan, who can take it? He pressed Rasengan on a rock and exploded a very deep hole. After clapping his hands and using the healing technique to restore the consumed chakra, Gong Yi slowly walked towards the house. The third research topic, developing and mastering 2 ninjutsu form changes, he is already half completed. But for the second ninjutsu change, he was in a bit of trouble. Development of Rasengan, he took advantage of the experience provided by Naruto's practice, but what should he do for the second ninjutsu change? Sasuke's Chidori is a morphological transformation, but it is based on Kakashi's Reikiri. But Reikiri has already been involved in chakra nature transformation. With my accumulation, there is not enough time to conduct research in this area. And my affinity for Raiden Thunder style is not high, and it is difficult to imitate Chidori. Gong Yi was in a dilemma with his hands on his back. Forget it, taking advantage of Rasengan is also a fluke. The second form changes, and I can't be in a hurry. I'll analyze the 8 inner gates first, and open 2 more gates, and then talk about it. There is also the practice of refining magic, too. Cannot fall. Gong Yi has a feeling that as he cultivates magic to a higher level and his spiritual power rises, his research on ninjutsu will be much more convenient. Maybe, at that time, the opportunity will appear naturally. While Gong Yi was concentrating on his cultivation, the Konoha Hokage building, Iga Shuanji walked in with a complicated expression. Have you made up your mind, Kawaji? Lord Hokage, I've made up my mind. Quit the job as mission captain. Third Hokage couldn't help but sighed when he saw Iga Kawaji's uncomfortable expression. Do you have any opinion on your squad, the next captain candidate? Just like in the original book, when Sasuke left and Kakashi was seriously injured, Hokage will arrange for new team members to join, and will also appoint a new captain. Genin Chunins who are in the growing stage cannot be without a leader. Iga Kawaji seems to have anticipated this for a long time, and already has an idea. Lord Hokage, I propose to make Gong Yi the team leader. Hokage was a little surprised. Gong Yi is so young and has little experience in performing tasks. Is this proposal a bit reckless? Iga Shuanji shook his head. Now, Gong Yi's strength is enough to be a captain. Third generation of Hokage hummed. After all, Gong Yi killed an entire Jonin team, and no one would believe him if he was not strong enough. Iga Shuanji continued. Secondly, now in the village, can more Jonin be recruited to take genin on missions? Sandai frowned, but could not refute. The village seems to be calm now, but in fact, undercurrents are surging, preventing Sunagakure and Iwagakure from making small moves against them. There is really not much manpower to draw. Otherwise, he wouldn't have let Iga Shuanji, a man from Anbu, lead Gong Yi and the others. Finally, it's also the most important thing to me. Iga Shuanji took a deep breath. Gong Yi is a very assertive child, and he can make accurate judgments when faced with danger. Back then, we were able to escape the land of rain, and he also had him. Credit. I think a talent like this needs more training to lead the team independently. When the war breaks out, he may be able to be on his own. Time waits for no one, there is no way to make them stronger smoothly. Chapter 47 9-year-old Special Jonin. Second more. Yes, time waits for no one. The current environment of Konoha village is full of undercurrents and dangers. Compared with the carefree days of Naruto Sasuke after the plot began, Konoha now has little time for a new generation of ninjas to grow up. In fact, this is why Gong Yi chose to graduate early. The time of the outbreak of the Third World War is uncertain, but it must be in the past 2 years. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next month, no more than 2 years at the latest. The cruelty of war is far more tragic than usual tasks. Gong Yi graduated early. Although it is dangerous to participate in the mission, the degree of danger can be controlled, and he can also have more opportunities to enrich combat experience. Just after Gong Yi's 2-month break, Anbu's ninja suddenly found him. Still a little surprised when Gong Yi came out of the Hokage building. Just now, the 3 generations of Hokage personally raised the ninja rank for him. Now, he is already a special Jonin. Special Jonin, a level between Chunin and ordinary Jonin, are often ninjas with special abilities, but cannot reach the level of Jonin, will get the ninja level. Although Gong Yi killed the Sha Izumi team, he was too young, so after 3 generations wait, he was given a special Jonin ninja rank. But even so, Gong Yi was surprised. What a ninja joke, he just turned 9 years ago 2 days ago. Become a special Jonin now. You know, a genius like Kakashi was also a Jonin at the age of 12. Like Uchiha Itachi, he became Chunin at the age of 10. When Gong Yi heard the decision of the 3 generations, he was a little bit overwhelmed. However, when the 3 generations appointed him as the captain of the former Iga team, he suddenly understood. Ordinary squads, usually captained by veteran Chunin, deal with some low-level tasks. The one with better treatment is Jonin leading the team. If there are geniuses in the team, or ninjas from wealthy families, most of them are led by the powerful Jonin. Now the Iga team exists in name only, and the village cannot send new candidates, so Gong Yi can only lead the team. And Gong Yi's strength is not bad, let him become a special Jonin, justifiably. Gong Yi left the Hokage building with a wry smile, and then took a detour to the task center next to him to pick up the task. In such a hurry to appoint myself as the captain, the main reason is that the new task is down. I feel sorry for myself that my 3-month vacation period has now been reduced to 2 months. Those Konoha executives are just like capitalists, exploiting ninjas. When Gong Yi went to the task center to pick up the task, the relevant staff were all stunned when they saw such a young ninja. Little guy, to get the task, you can only ask your captain to come, don't you know? Gong Yi pointed to the special Jonin clothes he had just received. I'm the captain. Genin only has forehead protection. Chunin and Jonin have their own special vests and trousers. Staff opened their mouths wide when they saw the vest representing Jonin. Jonin, how old are you? 9 years old. Gong Yi didn't want to say more. After receiving the task, he turned around and left. The staff watched him leave, and then looked at the name he signed at the place where he received the task, and started talking frantically. And as time passed, more and more people knew about it in the next few days. The title of Gong Yi, especially Jonin, was approved by Lord Hokage himself, and everyone in the village was shocked. But that's all for later. After receiving the task, Gong Yi began to gather the team and prepare to go out. Before performing the task, the simple task introduction should be explained to the team members, so as to avoid mistakes on the way. Ogawara and Hyuga Chizong arrived at the Konoha gate early, and the two chatted by the way. Wow, Kyeonjong, your Chunin clothes are so handsome. Hyuga Kyeonjong smiled slightly, in fact he also liked this dress very much. The past 2 months, he listened to the opinions of Iga Xuanji, conducted the Chunin examination, and passed it successfully. Yuan, I believe you can be Chunin too. Ogawara scratched his head and smiled, and then said, my family knows about my family affairs. I'm afraid I will have to practice for a few years before I can become a Chunin. Gong Yi, you said he is very strong, and if he wants to come, he will become a chunin too. Hyuga Kyeonzong nodded. He must have the strength of chunin, but he does not perform many tasks. It may take a while before he is eligible to apply for the chunin assessment. Well, but this kid has not arrived yet, so let's wait again. Just as Ogawara complained, Gong Yi's figure appeared in sight. However, when they saw the outfit on Gong Yi's body, Ogawara and Hyuga Chizong opened their mouths wide. This. Gong Yi, you become a Jonin. Gong Yi shrugged, recommended by Captain Iga, and specially approved by Hokage-sama. But even though I'm wearing Jonin clothes, I'm actually just a special Jonin. Ogawara's eyes widened, his face full of disbelief. After Hyuga Chisun was shocked, he pondered instead. In his opinion, it might have something to do with the important information Gong Yi obtained from his last mission. Hyuga Kyeonzong patted Ogawara on the shoulder. Yuan, shouldn't you congratulate Gong Yi's face was a little gloomy. One of his teammates became chunin and the other became a special Jonin, and he was the only one who held him back. Congratulations, Gong Yi. Hyuga Kyeonzong also said. Congratulations Gong Yi, but you didn't tell us earlier, the gift was not ready. Gong Yi waved his hands free and easy. It's not a normal Jonin, what a gift. When I become a Jonin, you can give me gifts. Ogawara quickly adjusted his mentality and was no longer so unhappy. Rather happy. In this way, there is a chunin in our team, a special Jonin. If there is another Jonin captain, then the strength of our team is not super strong. Gong Yi chuckled. Our captain has come, didn't you see it? Huh. Ah. The two looked around in confusion, puzzled. Gong Yi cocked the corners of his mouth. Don't look at it, it's me. Let's go. On the way, I'll tell you the content of this mission, and if you delay the time, you won't be able to catch up with the mission goal. The 48th chapter B-level task is not simple. Third more. In the dense forest, three figures jumped and ran high or low. Gong Yi maintained a 12-fold gravity state, and his speed was within the normal range, allowing the other two to keep up. Ogawara and Hyuga Chisun looked at his back with complicated expressions. This companion, who had only joined the team and had only performed one mission together, became the captain in a blink of an eye. Changes in the world are really impermanent. Stop. Gong Yi suddenly stabilized his body and looked at the four people walking by under the big tree. His eyes were especially focused on the ninja at the head. Blonde hair, a gentle sunny smile on the corner of his mouth when chatting with his companions. It's Mr. Minato. Ogawara's exclamation came from behind. And just after Ogawara exclaimed, the four people below also looked up. Gong Yi nodded to the four of Namikaze Minato, waved his hands, and set off again. The two sides didn't talk, just nodded. Namikaze Minato looked curiously at Gong Yi and the others leaving, and blinked. When did this ninja have more in the village? It's very strong. Teacher, I know him. Oh. His name is Gong Yi, and he used to be in the same class as me. But logically, he should still be at school, right? A white-haired boy looked at Gong Yi's back with some doubts. Ha ha, Namikaze Minato smiled slightly. His strength is quite strong, maybe he graduated early like you. The white-haired boy nodded lightly. Gong Yi's strength was not much worse than his own, and it made sense to graduate early. On the contrary, his teacher had such a high evaluation of Gong Yi, which made the white-haired boy a little puzzled. I graduated at the age of 5 and became a chunin at the age of 6. Now my strength is even close to that of Jonin. I wonder how Gong Yi compares to me. The person next to Minato-sama just now, is Kakashi. Ogawara asked suddenly. Hyuga Kyeonzong nodded silently. That white hair, they can't forget. Gong Yi continued to run without saying anything. The grudge between Kakashi and his teammates, he knew from the first day he joined the team. But it has nothing to do with myself. He was a little curious about the two players around Namikaze Minato. Uchiha Obito and Nohara Rin are still in school, and they will join Namikaze Minato's team later. That is to say, these two people are either dead. Otherwise, Obito and Rin cannot be added. Thinking of this, Gong Yi's heart tightened. Even Namikaze Minato can't take care of his team members, so can he bring Hyuga Chizun and Ogawara back to the village safely in various missions? Gong Yi looked back at his two teammates, and his heart suddenly became heavy. Captain, it's not so easy to be. On the broad road, the yellow sand is long, and a caravan is advancing from the land of fire to the land of wind. In this caravan, there is also a Konoha ninja team, led by Chunin named Miura Akira, and 3 genin. They performed a C-level escort mission to protect the caravan from entering the land of wind and not be robbed by bandits. Captain Miura, is this the land of winds? How can the people in the country live with such a big sandstorm? Miura Mingyuan smiled and explained to the team members, the environment in the country of wind is harsh, and the people's living standards are naturally not as good as our country of fire. But that's why there are many thieves on the desert hills everywhere. Caravans are afraid of encountering in danger, we need our protection. Quote. Team members disagreed, a mere bandit, do we need a 10-10 squad to be vigilant? Not to mention the captain, you or Chunin, even our 3 genins are enough to deal with dozens of bandits. Miura Akira touched his round face, and he thought so too. However, this kind of task is simple and the reward is high, but many ninja teams in the ninja village want to grab it. That is to say, their Konoha village is strong enough and the task completion rate is high. This caravan entrusted the Konoha village and then assigned it to them. In the back of the caravan, there are palace squads in the dark. Gong Squad, the squad named after Gong Yi, this is the title given to them by the village mission center. Gong Yi was standing on a small dirt slope, and beside him was Hyuga Kionzong who had opened Byakugan and was stalking ahead. The first task that the 3 generations of Hokage sent to the Gong team was such a wonderful task. Secretly followed Miura Mingyuan's team, all the way to the country of wind. And the level of this task is B level. Gong Yi had his hands behind his back, and on his unseen right hand, chakra was looming. Even in the process of performing his tasks, Gong Yi did not fall behind in his practice. For this task, Gong Yi has his own judgment. Obviously, this task is not as simple as it seems. Konoha executives should have confirmed the information they brought back. Sunagakure and Iwagakure jointly targeted Konoha, attacked and killed the ninja team and sabotaged their mission. The secret follow-up of the Gong team is not so much surveillance as protection. A weak team like the Miura squad just needs to send a Jonin or Chunin squad casually to ambush in secret, so that it is easy to attack and kill them intentionally or unintentionally. If after killing the Konoha ninja, the property of the caravan is robbed and a few ordinary people are released. At that time, as soon as these ordinary people who fled back preached it, it would easily cause a huge blow to the credibility of Konoha Shinobi Village. If it happens once or twice, it's fine. If this kind of thing happens on a large scale and with high frequency, Konoha Shinobi Village is in jeopardy. Captain, the radius is 1 kilometer. Except for the caravan in front, there is no chakra fluctuation, and no one else. Hyuga Kionzong put away Byakugan and reported the situation to Gong Yi slightly tired. Ogawara pouted, how could Kionzong change his mouth? He changed so quickly. Just called, Captain, obviously Gong Yi is younger than them. Gong Yi nodded, no enemy appeared, that would be the best. Compared with fighting the enemy to death, he prefers to secretly protect the Miura team all the way into the country of wind. Ogawara muttered from the side, this task is quite easy, I thought how difficult the B-level task is. Gong Yi chuckled, it's easy to complete the B-level task, then get the reward. Isn't it good to go back to the village to eat barbecue? Ogawara's eyes lit up. Gong Yi, will you please? Hyuga Chizong tugged at his sleeve, call Captain. Ogawara was a little embarrassed. He didn't have the good judgment of Hyuga Kionzong, and he didn't see Gong Yi showing his strength. Asking him to call a ninja even younger than himself as the captain, he was a little speechless. Gong Yi didn't care. He wasn't someone who cared about these details. Suddenly, Gong Yi frowned. B-level mission, will it be so simple? Gong Yi, what did you say? Ogawara didn't hear Gong Yi's words clearly. Gong Yi ignored him and looked at the desert covered with yellow sand with a solemn expression. Just when he was on alert, violent chakra fluctuations suddenly came from the caravan in front. Thousands, Byakugan. Hyuga Kionzong quickly opened his eyes. Captain, it's underground. There are 8 people in total, 2 Jonins and 6 Genins. Gong Yi's face was instantly gloomy. He stamped his feet, and rushed towards the caravan frantically. 8 doors, open. Chapter 49 4-Door State. The huge chakra filled the heaven and the earth shook, and countless yellow sands formed a circle. During the tremor, the ground slowly sank. The caravan owner stared at this scene in a stunned manner. He was just outside the circle, and luckily he was not covered. However, looking at the people who were more than 3/4 of the caravan, and all the goods, his eyes were full of Yuhi. This is a business worth over 3 million. Boss, don't go there, there's quicksand. You can't come back if you go there. If this business is over, our entire caravan will be over too. What about the Konoha ninjas? They promised to escort us to the land of winds. Boss, they are also in quicksand. Miura Akira's face changed suddenly, and she jumped up, but found that she couldn't get out of the quicksand range. It's not quicksand, it's ninjutsu. Everyone, prepare to fight. His 3 Genin team members hurriedly gathered together, but as far as they could see, apart from the quiet and dangerous sinking of quicksand, there was no enemy. Miura Mingyuan's face turned pale. The enemy is under the desert. Ninjutsu covering such a large area, such a violent chakra, the enemy is Jonin. What kind of enemy is it? Jonin doesn't care about this cargo at all. If they want to kill us, they don't need to be so troublesome. Compared with fighting to death with all one's strength, this feeling of being swallowed up by quicksand, unable to find an enemy, and powerless is the most desperate feeling. And the enemy is obviously stronger than them, but they hide their heads and tails, which is extremely shameless. ... Open the door, open. Hue door open. Life door open. 3 doors open instantly. Gong Yi arrived at the edge of the quicksand, exuding green energy all over his body. He took a deep breath as he looked at the super large area of Doden, Earth-style, death quicksand released by 2 Jonins and 6 Genin's assistants. 3 doors are not enough, 4 doors must be opened. And the 4 gates means to completely leave the safety zone of the 8 inner gates and enter the danger zone of the 8 inner gates, truly entering the state of 8 gates. Gong Yi clenched his hands tightly and screamed in the sky. Wounded door open. As if endless energy was pouring out of the body, feeling the state of the body at the moment, Gong Yi just felt that he could ignore everything. Looking down at the ground that was sinking faster and faster, Gong Yi raised his feet. Stomp down hard. Get me out. Boom. The terrifying and unparalleled power spread to the ground like thunder. At this moment, the pressure of the mountain is overwhelming, squeezing the earth fiercely. The ninja hiding in the ground only felt that the bones on his body were about to shatter, and without hesitation, he fled frantically out of the desert underground. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There were also 2 Jonin with gloomy faces, who also slowly surfaced to the ground, staring at Gong Yi. 8 ninjas. Okay, great. 2 Jonin squads were dispatched for the sake of a Chunin squad in Konoha. Gong Yi grinned grimly. In his 8-door state, he looked like a demon. 2 Jonins looked at each other, and one of them scolded, "Little devil, it's none of your business, get out." Gong Yi pointed to the forehead guard on his head, and said with a savage smile, "You said it's none of my business." Hyuga Kionzong and Ogawara finally came over, and they were all surprised to see Gong Yi's state at the moment. Gong Yi waved his hand, "Go and save everyone, they're not dead yet." But, Ogawara looked at the 8 ninjas who were staring at him, and said worriedly, "Gongyi, you are alone. I'll let you go." "Yes, Captain." Hyuga Kionzong nodded and pulled Ogawara to the center covered by Doden, earth style, and quicksand. A Jonin on the opposite side suddenly shouted, "Stop them." 2 Genins suddenly rushed out and were about to intercept Hyuga Chizong and Ogawara. However, before they were halfway there, a figure appeared in front of them like a ghost. Boom! Boom! Just 2 feet, the 2 Genins flew upside down. The body was like rags in the air, and blood spurted wildly. Of the 2 Jonin who had been staring at Gongyi shrank. Quick, too fast. They were staring at Gongyi, but just now, they didn't feel Gongyi's movements. "You, is from Konoha." Facing the enemy's question, Gongyi did not answer, but just stood there, exuding a terrifying aura. The ninja in the state of the 8 inner gates is really shocking. Gongyi's guard, and the 6 people still alive on the opposite side, no one dared to take a step. Soon, Hyuga Kionzong brought out the 4 ninjas of Miura Mingyuan. As for those ordinary people, none of them were brought out. Gongyi looked back. Hyuga Kionzong said quickly, "Those ordinary people are not dead, but comatose. Ogawara knows medical ninjutsu and is treating them." Gongyi nodded. Miura Akira looked at Gongyi in surprise. Although he was shocked by Gongyi's youth, he did not dare to underestimate him. "Who is this lord?" "Konoha Special Jonin, Gongyi." After he finished speaking, he ignored Miura Mingyuan, and Gongyi looked directly at the 6 people who were staring at him. Sunagaker, or Iwagakure. Jonin, who was headed by him, was still wondering how Konoha came up with this character, and the name Gongyi was also very unfamiliar. Hearing Gongyi's question, he subconsciously wanted to nod, but immediately shook his head. "No, we are missing Nin." "Ha," Gongyi sneered, "for me, it makes no difference." Hyuga Kionzong, Miura Akira, the 5 of you, kill the 4 Genins on the opposite side. Give me the 2 Jonins. Hyuga Kionzong suddenly raised his head and said worriedly, "Captain, we can let Ogawara and the other 4 go to the enemy's 4 Genins. I joined forces with Captain Miura to entangle the opposite Jonin." Gongyi waved his hand. "No need, just leave it to me." Faced with Gongyi's confident and even conceited attitude, the 2 Jonin were angry. "Arrogant! Arrogant!" Gongyi turned his head suddenly, and his figure burst out. "Come on. Chapter 50 Demon. No, it should be the devil." Gongyi in the 4-door state. "This is an incalculable problem. Open the door and lift the brain domain restrictions. You can exert 100% of your physical abilities, and every part of your body can be transformed into an attacking weapon. Exeomen, lift the physical fatigue limit. Let Gongyi in the battle, tireless. The gate of life, the gate of injury, breaking through the safe zone, stepping into the danger zone, entering the 8-door state in a true sense, greatly improving the attack speed and attack power of the caster." With Gongyi's powerful body, which had already reached the level of Jonin, at this time, he can be trusted. As long as he is not a cage-level powerhouse, he is an invincible existence. A green flash of lightning flashed, and Gongyi suddenly appeared behind the enemy, punching him fiercely. Jonin, who was dressed in gray, hurriedly waved his short knife to resist. However, in the face of the sharp short knife, Gongyi did not dodge or evade, and went straight to meet him. Click! The iron dagger shattered, accompanied by the piercing sound of gray-robed Jonin's bones breaking. Gray-clothed Jonin flew out and reminded his companions, "Don't come into direct contact with him, his physical skills are too strong, use ninjutsu to kill him." His companion was wearing a Missing Nin forehead guard and pretended to be Missing Nin. Hearing the reminder at this moment, he hurriedly hand-sealed. Doden, Earth-style, meteorite from the sky. A huge boulder fell from the sky and blasted towards Gongyi, majestic and unparalleled. "This is the best place to fight a Doden, Earth-style, ninja in the desert, he's dead." The gray-robed Jonin rolled on the ground, spat out blood from his mouth, and gave a vicious hand seal. Doden, Earth-style, Earth Dragon Bullet. A soil dragon assembled by Lois rose up from the ground and went straight to Gong Yi. At this moment, there are boulders bombarding above and Earth Dragon roaring below, both of which are advanced ninjutsu. Whether it is power or cooperation, it can be called Jonin's attack with all his strength. However, facing this scene, Gong Yi smiled contemptuously. The left foot stepped down fiercely, and the tulong screamed under his feet. The right fist slammed into the sky, facing the boulder that fell from the sky. Boom! There was a dull sound, followed by a huge explosion. Boom! The boulder was smashed alive by Gong Yi. Looking at this scene, Jonin in gray and his companions stared round their eyes and opened their mouths wide. Is this still human physique? Can it be so strong? Not only the two of them, but the others who were fighting nearby were also shocked. Hyuga Qianzong, is this Gong Yi's strength? No wonder it is recognized by Lord Hokage, especially Jonin is not worthy of Gong Yi's strength. Miura Akira, as the lead Chunin, faced a genin opponent, and there was still room to fight. He has also been secretly paying attention to Gong Yi's side. After all, he is also an adult. At a critical moment, if Gong Yi can't support him, he will try his best to help Gong Yi. However, seeing this scene, like a demon, stepping on a dragon with one foot and blasting a boulder with one punch, he couldn't help swallowing. His name is Gong Yi. There is another genius in our village. No, he is no longer a genius, but a strong man. The area previously covered by quicksand, now the smoke and dust dissipated, and Oguwara stared at this scene in a stunned manner. He murmured, "Captain, how strong?" In the yellow sand everywhere, Gong Yi stepped out slowly, looking at the two enemies with contempt. "It's so weak. If this is all your strength, this is your cooperation, then I can announce that you can die." Gray-robed Jonin bit Kiba and said, "Don't even think about it. Even if you die, I will drag you to hell." Other Jonin didn't speak, just started to quickly hand seal with both hands, ready to fight for his life. Gong Yi smiled coldly and started running around the two of them. The lightning-like speed almost made the two of them unable to see his shadow. Just as the two were looking for him, Gong Yi suddenly appeared in front of the Jonin from hand seal. "Lianhua, get up." The so-called lotus flower is to spray chakra from the body, wrap the enemy, and then perform a fatal blow. In the original book, Xiao Li used this trick. But in fact, little Li didn't use it well. His chakra is too low to wrap the enemy, so he can only use bandages. Gong Yi is different. Whether he is now comparable to the elite Jonin level chakra count, or his superb chakra control, he can perform this move flawlessly. And Gong Yi is the table lotus flower, the inner lotus flower, used at the same time. Under the horrified gaze of the enemy, Gong Yi wrapped him completely with chakra, then kicked him into the sky, jumped into the sky himself, grabbed the enemy's throat with one hand, and smashed it to the ground. Not good. If you fall down like this, you will die. Gray-robed Jonin watched this scene, shouted badly, quickly withdrew the ninjutsu he had prepared, and placed a swamp of the underworld on the ground. Given the softness of the swamp, he should be able to save his companions, right? Boom. A man, planted upside down in a sandy swamp, Gong Yi let go of his hands and stood up. Not dead, hee. With a kick in the air, Gong Yi stopped looking behind him and walked towards Jonin in gray. Jonin, who was lucky enough to survive, rose from his abdomen at this moment, and was kicked alive by Gong Yi. Most of the body turned into blood mist and dissipated in the air. Gray-robed Jonin was stunned, and his body began to tremble. Gong Yi approaching step by step, he subconsciously stepped back. "Demon, you are a demon." "Demon." Gong Yi tilted his head. "Actually, I prefer the title of demon god. Demons are just lowly people under demon god. Forget it, it doesn't make any sense. Let me take you on your way." P.S. recently, there have been more collections. It seems that everyone still thinks this book can be read. That being the case, why don't you come to review tickets, flowers or rewards to stimulate me? By the way, I would like to thank the 1000 VIP points for Wanshi Yaolian, 100 VIP points for Dome, 100 VIP points for Xiaozhonghu, and 300 VIP points for Zonling Xiao. The money is not much. I have received the wishes of the brothers, Cha Yan. Chapter 51 Shukaku Riot. Miura Akira took his ninjas to clean the battlefield. This place has entered the border of the Land of Wind. If so many ninja corpses are found, it is not easy to explain. The disposal of the corpse is also very convenient, and it can be directly sunk into the yellow sand. Ogawara and Hyuga Kionzong rescued the corresponding ordinary people. The caravan boss was thanking them for saving everyone and saving all the goods. Of course, the one who should be most thankful should be the extremely young boy. However, at this moment, no one dared to step forward. Miura Akira looked up at the thin business standing on the hill and swallowed. Kionzong, that lord, is your captain. Hyuga Chizong stopped what he was doing and hummed softly. Is there only 3 people in your team? Hyuga Kionzong explained. The original captain was seriously injured during the mission, so Captain Gongyi became the new captain. Haven't you thought about adding new players? Hyuga Kionzong shook his head. Now the village is too tight, and the new batch of students from the ninja school have not graduated, so there is no way to replenish the team for the time being. Miura Akira asked tentatively, then Mr. Gongyi, how old is he? In the ninja world, the strong are respected. Age is never a problem. Miura's, adult, called out willingly and without embarrassment. 9 years old, our captain is a real genius. As soon as he graduated, he completed a difficult task and was recognized by Lord Hokage, and was promoted to a special Jonin. Miura nodded convincingly. He had just seen the Gongyi battle scene. That kind of strength, let alone a special Jonin, even many veteran Jonin can't do it. 1 man against 2 Jonin, not only suppressed, but also solved it cleanly and unscathed. Well, the scene is too bloody. ... Gongyi didn't know how his teammates and others talked about him. He was standing on a high place at the moment, not only to be alert, but also to recover. The 8 inner gates is worthy of being a high-level taijutsu. I didn't use any ninjutsu in the whole battle. I only used taijutsu to crush 2 Jonin who cooperated extremely well. It is conceivable that if the 8 gates are really open, the formation of the 8 inner gates, the outbreak of power beyond the 5 shadows is definitely not a false rumor. Quote. However, the 8 inner gates does a lot of damage to the body, especially the meridians and internal organs. Gongyi stroked his chest and seemed to still feel a little pain. He had already used the healing technique to condition his body, but he still had lingering fears when he thought about the pain just after the end of the 8 sects. It is not unreasonable that there are so few ninjas who practice this martial art. Little Lee has no choice, not ninjutsu, demonic illusion, and can only practice the 8 inner gates. Might Guy has a problem with his brain circuits, but the 8 inner gates is a good fit for him. With my current physical strength, the pressure of the 4 doors is not too great. In daily training, I can open 5 doors. If you give me another 2 years to exercise my physical strength to a higher level and open 6 doors, I should no problem. Let's not consider what will happen in the next 2 years. In the current state of Wumen, we can barely cope with the upcoming 3 battles. But even so, we can't do it with ease. Gongyi sighed. Facing a normal Jonin or 2, he was able to suppress, even kill. But war is different. War means crowds, and means that all kinds of high-level ninjutsu that are usually difficult to encounter will appear together. Moreover, in Gongyi's memory, the tragic battle of the Third World War was unimaginable. Konoha's strength has shrunk significantly. After the 3 wars, the 3 generations of Hokage took the blame and resigned, and even the younger brother of the head of the Hyuga clan was forced to commit suicide by Kumogakure village. On the Sunagakure side, he was defeated several times by Konoha, and even surrendered and concluded a covenant. In Kurigakure village, the third generation of Mizukage died in battle, and the domestic strength was greatly weakened. Uchiha Madara took advantage of it and supported the fourth generation of Mizukage Yagura. Even the always strong Kumogakure village suffered heavy losses from the death of 3 generations of Raikage. There were no victors in that war, the village of Iwagakure, who had seemingly withdrawn smoothly, the dead ninjas, in the thousands. And the so-called demigod Hanzo of the Salamander died quietly after the 3 wars. This war is really too dangerous. Even if there is no exaggerated powerhouse like the 4th war, it is not something that I can easily get through in the state of 5 disciplines. Gong Yi squeezed his palms. I still need to strengthen my own strength, now this is far from enough. The 8th inner gates state, Gong Yi can now open 5 gates, but the duration is not long, only about 15 minutes. One fight is probably enough. But the war is different. The ninja army that has been advancing one after another will not give him time to rest. Turning to look at the crowd below, Gong Yi waved. Hyuga Chizong and Ogawara followed. Let's go. Captain, won't you escort them into the great city of the Land of Winds? You can follow in secret, this is our mission requirement. The Land of Winds, Sunagakure village. A man wearing a white cloak with a stern face stood on the tallest building in the village. There was no one behind him. But in fact, secretly, there are many guards protecting him. He is the 3rd generation of Kazekage. Known as the strongest Kazekage ever. Looking at the lifeless village, the 3 generations of Kazekage somehow sighed. Working with Iwagakure to secretly kill the Konoha ninja team, I don't know if it's right or wrong. What's the use of me being called the strongest Kazekage? The village is in this harsh environment. It can't expand in a day, and it can't cultivate more strong people in a day. Konoha, in my way, in the village's way. Just when he was thinking about it, a roar suddenly came from a hidden place in the village. 3 generations of Kazekage changed. It's Shukaku. How could it be possible that the seal of the force of Jinchuriki column was reinforced? How could Shukaku suddenly lose control? He soared into the air and quickly ran towards Amamam. Notify Chiyo, Ebizo, evacuate the villagers. Chapter 52 3 Generations of Kazekagev's Aikiao Shukaku, second more. Okay, this mission has been completed, we can go back to the village. Gong Yi watched Miura Mingyuan and the others enter the great city of the Land of Winds, and felt slightly relieved. The first task of leading the team alone was finally completed. This is still a B-level mission. Although there were 2 Jonins and 6 Genins involved in the middle, in general, it was a near miss. Hearing Gong Yi say this, Agawa couldn't help cheering. Finally completed. I hate this kind of escort mission the most, it's sneaky, and it's not free at all. Hyuga Kionzong also smiled. I also don't like escort missions because I don't know when the enemy will appear. Ogawara looked at Gong Yi. Captain, since the mission is completed, don't we go to the Land of Winds to play? Gong Yi shook his head. Our country of fire is the most prosperous one. Wouldn't it be better to go back and play? In this foreign land, you can't relax your vigilance even when you take a bath. That's right. Ogawara scratched his head, feeling that the situation was very painful. Let's go back. On the way back, remember to be concealed and not publicize it. After all, this is the territory of the Land of Wind, and there are many Sunagakure activities. Gong Yi exhorted, not talking much like himself. However, both players could feel Gong Yi's concern for them. Because he is the captain and because he has responsibilities, he has more words than before. ... The way back is naturally not the way you came. They are ninjas, and some dangerous roads that are inaccessible to caravans are like flat ground to them. When the 3 passed through a desert, Gong Yi suddenly stopped. What's wrong, Captain? Ogawara was puzzled. Hyuga Kionzong looked at Gong Yi's frown, and subconsciously turned on Byakugan. The ferocious blue veins spread all over the face of Hyuga Kionzong, and then the moment Byakugan opened, Hyuga Kionzong closed in horror. There is an extremely terrifying chakra ahead. Terrible. Gong Yi felt even earlier than Hyuga Kionzong that his spiritual power, which had already passed through the divine art and cultivated to 45 points, was not in vain. For some dangerous feelings, sometimes, more sensitive than Byakugan. Gong Yi turned his head and said solemnly to the two of them, "There is danger ahead, you all take a detour from this side and wait for me at the border of the Fire Nation." "The captain, how about you? I have to take a look." With such a violent chakra fluctuation, someone must be fighting. For the village, this is a very important piece of information. As for my safety, you don't have to worry about it. Thinking of the previous terrifying performance of Gong Yi against the two genins, Hyuga Kionzong and Ogawara didn't say much more and quietly changed their paths. After the two left, Gong Yi took a deep breath. Without hesitation, the 8 doors opened 3 doors instantly, and after a little hesitation, he even lifted the 12-fold gravity technique. At this moment, apart from opening the last 2 doors, he is the pinnacle. Even against those 2 Jonins, he didn't lift the 12 gravity spell. Gong Yi is confident that even if Fengjian Pingche is in front of him, he can kill him cleanly. Gong Yi to take things so seriously, of course, it's not that he is unfounded. The sense of danger in his brain made him have to do it. Along the direction of the chakra eruption, Gong Yi moved forward and proceeded cautiously. After a while, Gong Yi was lying on the back of a mound, staring at the scene below in shock. A gray beast with violet tattoos all over his body stands in the desert. The boundless yellow sand is controlled by it, and the world is full of manic gale. Aikyo, Shukaku. Gong Yi's body trembled as he watched this scene, the tailed beast, the ultimate weapon in the Hokage world. Just today, appeared in front of him. There is no doubt about the power of the tailed beast, even the weakest tail. However, the appearance of controlling the yellow sand in the sky and manipulating the endless gale, how can it be said to be weak? But just when Gong Yi marveled at the power of Yiwei, a small middle-aged man slowly emerged from the ground. Then a pair of black wings extended from behind him, supporting him to float in the air until it was aligned with the beast's head. 3 generations. Why aren't you dead yet? The white cloak fluttered violently, facing the roar of the sky. The middle-aged man known as the 3rd generation, his face was calm. Shukaku, go back with me. If you do this again, the Jinchuriki column force will die. She's dead when she's dead. It's none of my business. I don't want to go back to that dark seal again. Since I can't convince you, I can only say sorry. Middle-aged man has one hand, which is not inferior to Shukaku's chakra, and gushed out. Jident magnet style iron sand world method. Jident magnet style sand and iron rain. Gong Yi walked in the desert with a dazed expression, and in his mind, the scene of 3 generations of Kazekage fighting Ichigo Shukaku kept coming up. That is the power of the tail beast. That is the power of the tailed beast chakra. That is the strength of the cage-level powerhouse. Gong Yi stopped suddenly and looked up at the blindingly white sky. Obviously I can crush most of the Jonin, and even kill the elite Jonin, but why do I still feel that I can't compete in front of that kind of existence? Gong Yi lowered his head, his hands clenched tightly, his nails digging deep into the flesh. It's not that I have too few chakras. It's not that the 8 inner gates are too weak. It's not that I am afraid. Gong Yi raised his head suddenly, yuhi in his eyes. It's the power level. The chakra of the tailed beast and the chakra extracted by ordinary ninjas are completely 2 levels of existence. The chakra of the tailed beast is above the ordinary chakra. 3 generations of Kazekage's ninjutsu are also different from ordinary ninjas. That's Kekkei Genkei. Kazekage and Aikyo Shukaku for 3 generations. Gong Yi finally understood his direction. Is not that the master has enough ninjutsu, nor does he have extremely rich combat experience. What he needs is absolute power. A power that can absolutely suppress ordinary chakras at the energy level. Chapter 53 is He Gongyi. 3 days later, Gongyi returned to Konoha village with Hyuga Chizong and Ogawara. Hey, you actually completed this B-level mission. The ninja responsible for the task is named Nara Mu, a member of the Nara clan, who usually holds important positions in the village. At this moment, he looked at Gongyi in astonishment. This is a B-level mission. Often takes Jonin to lead the team to complete it, and the mission may fail. And the young man in front of him was just a special Jonin. He was only 9 years old, and it was his first time leading the team. Gongyi nodded indifferently. The mission description is here. You can ask Akira Miura about the corresponding verification. Naramu took the corresponding paperwork report and covered his mouth when he saw the description of the battle in the mission. 2 Jonins, 6 Genins. This is so incredible. Key point, Gongyi's team has actually been completed. He couldn't believe it at all, but Gongyi vowed to say it, and even let him go to Miura Mingyuan's team to verify, so he couldn't believe it. Nara couldn't help but look at Gongyi carefully. Sooner or later, this kind of person will soar into the sky. I will report the status of the mission to Lord Hokage. Your rewards will also be distributed in 3 days. Gongyi nodded and took Hyuga Chizong and Ogawara out of the assignment office. Walking down the village streets in the evening, Gongyi suggested. In order to celebrate the successful completion of the palace team's first mission, I invite everyone to eat barbecue. Ogawara cheered, and Hyuga Chizong agreed with a smile. The 3 did not go home, but went directly to the most famous and delicious barbecue restaurant in the village. While waiting for the ingredients to come up, the 3 of them chatted one after another. Hyuga Kionzong keenly found that since Gongyi returned from inquiring about the chakra fluctuations that erupted in the desert, his emotions were a bit wrong. Originally, when Gongyi became the captain and killed 2 Jonin, he was quite high-spirited and confident. But after that, the whole person became low-key and silent again. He wanted to ask about the specific situation of the chakra fluctuation, but Gongyi shook his head and said that it was not something they could touch. Some things, knowing too much, are troublesome. Gongyi, you are here. In the barbecue shop, there was a sudden sound of surprise, and several teenagers and girls squeezed out of the crowd and came over. Gongyi looked up and saw that it was some of his former classmates. Sarutobi Asuma, Kurenai Yuhi, Azuki Yugao, Moonlight Hayate. The one who just spoke was Kurenai Yuhi. At this moment, Kurenai Yuhi, with a small face, Yuhi, looked at Gongyi in surprise. You are this. Kurenai Yuhi blinked and said, school is over, so we're going to have a dinner together, so we came here. Are you on vacation? Gongyi was in a trance, and he realized that time had passed so quickly. Not long after I started this semester, I applied for early graduation. It took a month to perform the first task, and a 2-month break in the middle. This time, the task also took a month and a half. After going back and forth, the ninja school actually ended a semester. Is that Gongyi? So young, still a child. Can't say that. Gongyi is already a special Jonin, and his position is higher than us, so he has to be called an adult. I don't know how strong he is. It's definitely not weak. After all, I heard that Lord Hokage gave him an assessment and decided to raise his ninja rank. As if he was still a civilian ninja. It's really amazing. I didn't expect that in addition to Namikaze Minato, there was another genius among the civilian ninjas in the village. Gongyi was a little surprised when he heard the chatter of the other barbecue eaters. Azuki Yugao explained to him, Gongyi, the news of you becoming a special Jonin and serving as the leader of the ninja squad. During this period of time, the village spread around. Gongyi thought thoughtfully, this kind of news should have come from the mission center. But so many people know it, and there must be a reason for the tacit approval of Konoha's senior management. After all, Konoha White Fang committed suicide a few years ago, and Sannin doesn't show up very much. The village needs to support more powerful ninjas to come out, which shows how powerful Konoha is. Yuhi was not as restrained as Azuki Yugao, and sat down directly next to Gongyi. Yeah, Gongyi, you are so amazing. You just went out to perform a few missions, and you became a Jonin. Seeing Yuhi's enthusiasm, Asuma, who has been secretly in love with her, his face became ugly. Just a special Jonin, not a Jonin. Yuhi snorted. Gongyi became a special Jonin at the age of 9. After a while, he won't be a Jonin. Now Gongyi is the idol of many students in the school. Asuma, aren't you convinced? Asuma's face froze, and one face was Yuhi and blue again. Biting Kiba, Asuma bit his head and said, after school starts, I also go to apply for early graduation, and then go out to perform tasks. Yuhi, I can also become Jonin. Seeing this scene, Gongyi shook his head and chuckled. How easy is it to perform tasks, and dangers are everywhere. B-level mission like the one he easily accomplished this time involved 2 Jonins. If a rookie like Asuma thinks it's easy to perform the task, it's no wonder that he doesn't bang his head and bleed. Gongyi was too lazy to remind the other party, and he knew that it was impossible for the 3 generations of Hokage to agree to Asuma's early graduation, nor to assign him a dangerous mission. Yuhi blinked her big eyes. She was already quite a beauty at such a young age. In a few years, maybe she will be a beautiful woman. Gongyi, are these 2 your players? Ogawara scratched his head and introduced himself. My name is Ogawara, this is Hyuga Chizo, nice to meet you. Yuhi also said happily. My name is Kurenai Yuhi, there are only 3 of you here, why don't we eat barbecue together? Yugao, do you want to join? Azuki Yugao hesitated and sat down. Asuma went out angrily, pulling Moonlight Hayate away by the way. There are long benches in the barbecue shop, and it is very easy to sit 3 or 4 people on one stool. Kurenai Yuhi and Azuki Yugao left and right, sandwiching Gongyi in the middle. Gongyi told the kebab shop owner to add more meat. When he turned around, Ogawara, who was opposite him, had already started winking at him. It's like saying, you 2 little beauties. The corners of Gongyi's mouth were slightly upturned, and the 2 little loli were about the same. Asuma bid farewell to Moonlight Hayate and ran home in a hurry. Seeing his father, Sarutobi Hiruzen, the 3rd generation of Hokage, meditating in the yard, he ran over directly. Father, I don't want to be at school anymore. The 3 generations turned around and looked at him curiously. What's wrong? Asuma thumped the little tree beside him. Kakashi in our class graduated a few years ago and is now Chunin. Gongyi also graduated early, and now he's even more of a Jonin. I'm Hokage's son, how can I be better than them? Bad. Quote. I want to apply for early graduation. Chapter 54 3 Generations of Rewards. In the Hokage world, there is actually a silver line. Gongyi and the others were rewarded for their tasks, and there were also Konoha administrative staff, who specifically called them into their cards. After checking his account, Gongyi started a plan to build a house. Without thinking about buying a house in the village, Gongyi's plan was to still live outside the village. This will facilitate his training, and as the strength increases, the rank of the Shueiba system will rise, and the future research topics will not always be in ninjutsu research. It may be extended to other areas. Maybe an animal, maybe a human body, maybe even a ninja. These things cannot be exposed. In the village, there are many people and it is very unsafe. After finding a construction team, specifying the scope and housing requirements, Gongyi paid a deposit. Maybe in a few months, he will be able to own a house of his own. Not only to be big, but also to have its own garden. Just when Gongyi was trying to improve his life, Anbu Ninja found him. Gongyi, Lord Hokage, please. The Miura Mingyuan team had returned to the village, and after the assignment was handed over, they dispersed. During the break, they mentioned the mission to their family and other ninja friends. Particular, Gongyi's battle with Kamui, killing 2 Jonin, became extremely exciting under their rendering. When the enemy was dying, he even called out the title of demon in fear. But the demon of the enemy is our angel. When everyone was discussing, they were looking forward to Gong Yi even more. In this kind of news spread from 10 to 10, Gong Yi's name soon spread throughout the entire Konoha ninja village. Now, everyone knows that there is another genius and strong man in the village. Can 1v2, kill 2 Jonin. It even made the enemy terrified and called it a devil. In the Hokage building office, the 3 generations of Hokage looked at Gong Yi with satisfaction. How's the 8 inner gates master? This set of advanced physical skills is very suitable for me, and now I have opened 4 doors. Gong Yi has some reservations, and did not completely expose his cards. Even for 3 generations of kindness, Gong Yi would not fully trust him. 3 generations nodded, according to the mission information collected from Miura Akira. When Gong Yi fought, his skin turned into Yuhi, and his whole body was glowing with green energy. I didn't expect you to be so suitable for this set of physical skills. After all, no one in the village has practiced the 8 inner gates for countless years. Gong Yi asked curiously, are there none? Sandai recalled. During World War II, many ninjas practiced this set of martial arts, but most of them could not continue to practice until the 3 doors were opened. When the 4 doors were forcibly opened, most of the ninjas died of serious injuries after the battle. So this a set of advanced physical skills will be sealed up, and no one will be allowed to practice. Quote. Gong Yi was thoughtful. The first 3 gates of the 8 inner gates are all in the safe zone. Those who have strong enough physical training are likely to succeed in cultivation. But once you enter the 4th door, you step into the danger zone. Those people don't have their own healing skills. After a battle, it is difficult to face the double burst of backlash damage. But Gong Yi thought of one person, Might Dai. Might Gai's father, Might Dai. This genin has been silently practicing the 8 inner gates, and later gave this advanced body technique to his son. So after all, there are still people in the village who secretly practice the 8 inner gates. The 3rd generation called Gong Yi over mainly to inquire about the situation encountered during the execution of the mission. Those 2 Jonin, although disguised as missing nin, are actually Sunagakur, or Iwagakure. If this is the case, it means that the villages of Sunagakur and Iwagakure have really started to attack and kill the ninjas that Konoha was out on the mission. The 2 chatted for a while, and Gong Yi took the opportunity to ask a few questions about ninjutsu. The 3 generations also responded one by one. Before Gong Yi showed no malice towards Konoha, he still regarded it as the future of the village. In this respect, the 3rd generation is indeed a good person, and has made great contributions to the development of the village. By the way, Lord Hokage, there is one thing I must report to you. Oh, what's the matter? Let's hear it. After much deliberation, Gong Yi decided to tell the 3rd generation about the Yue riot. As a result, at his level, this matter cannot achieve much benefit. Second, Hyuga Kionzong and Ogawara were also nearby at the time. Although they didn't see it, if Gong Yi said a few words casually, Gong Yi would not report it, and it might arouse suspicion. Finally, the One-Tail riot, if this kind of thing is used well by the village, then a lot of preparations can be made for the next 3 battles. Sure enough, after listening to Gong Yi's report, the 3rd generation frowned. You said you saw Sunagakur's cage put down a riot in the desert. Gong Yi said solemnly, yes, at that time, chakra filled most of the desert, and my team members, Hyuga Kionzong, also noticed it. What about the result of the crackdown? 3 generations of cage succeeded. Is he hurt? Gong Yi's heart moved. Sarutobi Hiruzen paid attention to this point, thinking that it was going to be used to make a fuss. 3rd generation of cage is injured. If the Konoha side puts pressure on it, maybe the crisis of the recent attack on the Konoha ninja in Sunagakur village can be resolved. Reflecting on the situation that day, Gong Yi affirmed, he was injured. During the battle, Yue used high-power ninjutsu one after another, and even spit out an energy ball from his mouth. I saw Kazekage the third generation taking the ball at the time. After that, he vomited blood. 3 generations shine. Gongyi only knew that it was a ball, but the well-informed 3 generations knew that it was Tailed Beast Bomb, Tailed Beast Bomb. Even if Shukaku is sealed for a long time, in the desert, the combat power will explode several times. Tailed Beast Bomb in this state, even if it is the 3rd generation Kazekage that is known as the strongest in history, it is impossible to take over unscathed. Okay, Gongyi, your information is very important to the village. The 3 generations are overjoyed. In a short period of time, he has even thought of what articles can be used to make use of this matter. Gongyi said modestly, "This is what I should do." The 3 generations looked at Gongyi and became more and more satisfied. He still remembered what Gongyi said when he got the 8 inner gates, to be the barrier of the village and protect the village. From now on, Gongyi used the 8 inner gates for the first time, protecting the ninjas in the village and providing such important information. This kid is really good. Since you provided such important information, the village should reward you. Gongyi, tell me, what reward do you want? Gongyi thought in his heart that the value of intelligence depends on what Konoha can get from it. If he didn't get anything, he just brought back a few words. In this case, it would seem stupid to ask for a price. Everything is up to Lord Hokage. Sandai stroked his beard and smiled slightly. Well, how about I teach you a ninjutsu? Gongyi's face is full of joy. The 3rd generation of Hokage is known as the Doctor of Ninjutsu. The ninjutsu he came up with will not be a big hit. Chapter 55 Mission to Sunagakur Village, the 5th update. Crack the earth and turn palms. Concentrate the chakra in the palm of your hand and hit the ground with your palm to crack the ground to attack the enemy. Class A Doden, Earth-style, Ninjutsu. This is the advanced ninjutsu that the 3rd generation Hokage gave Gongyi as an additional reward. Perhaps because Gongyi has no teacher, it is difficult to acquire ninjutsu, so the 3 generations taught him such a ninjutsu, giving him more ways to fight the enemy. After Gongyi got it, after some research, it took him 3 months to make his master. It's not that he is stupid, but the learning of advanced ninjutsu is indeed so difficult. Don't look at Gongyi's easy and quick mastering of A-level ninjutsu Rasengan and advanced taijutsu the 8 inner gates. In fact, he took a shortcut. In Rasengan's practice, Gongyi borrowed Naruto's practice method from the original work. When Naruto practiced, Jiraiya personally taught him. As for the 8 inner gates, Gongyi's foundation is so good, so he can get started so quickly. The ninjutsu of splitting the earth and turning palms, in fact, has many difficulties in practice. It sounds simple, just gather chakra in your hand and slap the ground with one palm. But in fact, it is not so simple to blast the ground and quickly trap the enemy. How much chakra do you need to accumulate in your hand to blast away the earth? The chakra accumulation is too small and the power is not enough. The accumulation of chakra is too much, the palm can't bear it, and it will explode directly. How to control the amount of chakra output is a huge problem. And after the master, even if the ninjutsu is released, the enemy can jump away and dodge. So how can we completely sink the enemy into it? In the dark, you have to apply a chakra to restrict the enemy from escaping. In the process of cultivation, Gongyi encountered many obstacles, and his hands were injured a lot. Several times, they have been blown up by the accumulation of too much chakra. If it weren't for the existence of healing techniques, Gongyi's hands would have been basically useless. It took more than 3 months for him to master his master. In terms of taijutsu, I have already mastered the 8 inner gates, which can be regarded as one of the best taijutsu in the ninja world. In terms of defensive ninjutsu, I have my own B-level ninjutsu rock armor and Sweden, water style, water formation wall. Other low-level ninjutsu effects are not very good. In terms of attack ninjutsu, there was only A-level ninjutsu Rasengan with single target attacks. The A-level ninjutsu of splitting the earth and turning palms makes up for my shortcomings in ranged attacks. Gong Yi let out a breath of foul breath. At this moment, his strength is stronger than before, not to mention the world has turned upside down, but at least there is no shortcoming. In the past, he lacked the ninjutsu for large area attacks. The only two he had were the sea-level swamp of the underworld and Grand Fireball, but their power was not that great. Master, who is now splitting the earth and turning his palms, has solved this problem. After finishing the practice, Gong Yi returned home and glanced at the construction site not far away that was in full swing. It will be his new home in the future. Now that it is in the late stage, the decoration can be started immediately. For this, Gong Yi spent a full 100,000 taels. Once completed, it can be considered a villa with its own courtyard and swimming pool. It's a pity that Gong Yi couldn't personally supervise the completion of the other party, because new tasks were dispatched again. Gear, Gong Yi went out, called Hyuga Kionzong and Ogawara together, and waited quietly at the Hokage building. Over time, more and more ninjas gather under the Hokage building. Gong Yi told his team members about the requirements of the mission. This mission is an escort mission. Seeing Ogawara's bored expression, Gong Yi said lightly, task level, S level. This time, not only Ogawara, but also Hyuga Chizun looked surprised. Gong Yi continued, we will escort Orochimaru Sama on a friendly visit to Sunagakure village in the Land of Winds, and at the same time make preparations for the renewal of the peace treaty between Konoha and Sunagakure during World War II. Hyuga Kionzong hesitated, as the peace treaty signed during World War II about to expire this year. It is now 42 years of Konoha, and it has been more than a year since Gong Yi graduated. Those classmates who were in Gong Yi's class at the time, if nothing else, will become genin after passing the graduation exam this year. And this time is also when the peace treaty signed by Konoha and Sunagakure during the Second Ninja World War will come to an end. If the renewal is successful, then the two villages will enjoy peace for a long time. If you can't, war, maybe it will break out again. This matter, for Konoha, is very important. To this end, the three generations of Hokage sent his favorite disciple, Orochimaru, known as one of Sannin, as a visiting representative, to Sunagakure village. Participated in escorting Orochimaru into Sunagakure village were all strong men carefully selected by the village. For example, now, a small team slowly walking. Namikaze Minato squad. Gong Yi is much younger than Namikaze Minato, but now Gong Yi is also well known. In the village, he is liked by many people, and some children even regard him as an idol. Even for this mission, the third Hokage promoted Gong Yi's ninja to Jonin a few days ago. No one objected to this. Gong Yi's record of killing 2 Jonin head-on was known to the villagers by Miura Mingyuan's team. Gong Yi greeted Namikaze Minato with respect, of course, since Namikaze Minato was his senior after all. After saying hello, Gong Yi returned to his team. As for Kakashi, who was standing behind Namikaze Minato, Gong Yi did not speak to him. The current Kakashi is still cold, as if someone owes him money. And the status of the two is completely different. Kakashi is older than Gong Yi, but now he is just a chunin. Gong Yi is already a famous jonin. And he's the squad leader. Kakashi is just a player. There are 11 people in total, 3 from our team, 4 from Minato's team, and the other 4 with masks, which should be the Anbu team directly under Hokage. Gong Yi nodded secretly. It seems that the 3 generations attach great importance to this peace interview. But dare to send Orochimaru to a big ninja village alongside Konoha, no matter how many people are sent. It is estimated that Kazekage is still injured. During this time, he should be busy resealing the tailed beast. Only 3 generations dare to let Orochimaru go. Without Kazekage himself, no one in Sunagakure village would be able to stop Orochimaru, who wanted to go. Just when Gong Yi speculated about this, the surrounding air suddenly became gloomy and cold. The hoarse voice sounded, with a little appreciation. Is this the escort of Sunagakure village who is with me on the mission? That's good. Equals. P.S. I would like to thank the 1010 Xingjian brothers for their 1000 VIP points, Baishu brothers for their 200 VIP points, and other brothers for their reminders, monthly tickets, evaluation tickets and flowers. Thank you very much. In addition, my book has a high word count, because the 10,000 word update is too fast every day, and the editor suggested that I put it on the shelves. But I think it can be postponed for a few days until the weekend. First, I am a little selfish, I have few collections, and the data is not very good. After a few days, the data is better and the first order is higher. Second, seriously, my rhythm is very slow, it can be said to be super slow. Instead of rushing to the shelves, it is better to add a few more chapters for free, so that everyone can watch more. I don't care about the loss of 10,000 or 20,000 words. I just hope that everyone likes it. By the way, a few more tickets. Chapter 56's level tasks are never easy. Since it is an official visit, there can be no secret travel. From the Hokage building, when passing through the gate of Konoha, there were many villagers waiting here. Cheers when he sees Orochimaru passing by. In the cheers, most of the love and respect for Orochimaru came out. Seeing this scene, Gong Yi was very emotional. Unimaginable that Orochimaru, who was once infamous in the biography of Hokage Hayate and feared by many ninjas in Konoha, is now so popular with the villagers. Fate sucks. Gong Yi sighed softly. Orochimaru, who was walking in front, seemed to hear those words and turned back and licked his lips. Didn't Captain Gong Yi once said that he wants Master's own destiny? Why are you feeling that fate is messing with people? Gong Yi's expression froze. It is precisely because fate plays with the world that my generation should have the belief to control our own destiny. Hee. Orochimaru chuckled, turned around, waved at the villagers, and walked out of the village freely. Gong Yi is also close behind. In the crowd, Asuma looked at them enviously. His plan to apply for an early graduation was directly rejected by the third generation. Not only that, but he also scolded him severely. Asuma wants to graduate, become a full-fledged ninja, and go out on a mission, instead of playing ninja games with those kids who don't know anything at school. The stars hang in the sky, and the night falls. The firefly fluttered its wings and flew by slowly, without noticing the two people around it. Asked Hyuga Chizong in a low voice, Senzong, with Orochimaru-sama here, do we still need to be vigilant? Hyuga Kionzong said indifferently, be vigilant, it is something that ninjas must do when they go out to perform tasks. Especially our task is to protect Orochimaru-sama, and we must not let our guard down. Ogawara murmured, his eyes stopped at the firelight behind him, a little yearning. The captain was there, and he wanted to sit there, even if it was to say a word to Master Orochimaru. Not the ninjas of Konoha, it's hard to imagine their worship of Sannin. This kind of worship can not only allow Tsunade to easily inherit the honor of Hokage, but also make Orochimaru turn into fear from his heart after his betrayal. The wood was burning and crackling. Gong Yi sat cross-legged by the fire, surrounded by Namikaze Minato with a genial smile, Anbu Ninja with a dull and reserved face, and Orochimaru with a smile on the corners of his mouth. This trip to Sunagakure village seems peaceful, but it's actually not as easy as I imagined. Orochimaru said lightly, and pointed at the map drawn on the ground. Iwagakure and Kumogakure never want to see us and Sunagakure make another peace pact. So, we have to guard against them. In addition, the attitude of Sunagakure village is unclear, and the attack on the Konoha ninja is ahead. We should also pay attention to the movement of Sunagakure. If I can get to Sunagakure village successfully, I will visit their cage, and you have to check the situation of Sunagakure village as much as possible. Namikaze Minato laughed heartily. It would be great if the dispute with Sunagakure village could be resolved and the two villages coexist peacefully. Gong Yi said coldly, I am afraid it's not that simple. Orochimaru watched the two of them with interest. From the heart, he doesn't like Namikaze Minato, who is sunshine and justice, but he has other thoughts about Gongyi. Orochimaru said hoarsely, "It's really not that simple. The mission to Sunagakure village this time is nominally to prepare for the signing of the next peace treaty. Secretly, it is to question Sunagakure village's recent actions. A little accident can easily break out. Conflict." Namikaze Minato frowned. He had also heard a little about the recent situation in the village. Hearing Orochimaru say that, Namikaze Minato was a little worried. "Then we go like this, isn't it very dangerous?" Orochimaru shook his head. "It wouldn't be too dangerous if ninjas from other villages didn't intervene. Gongyi, you should know something. After all, you brought the information back." Gongyi nodded and explained. 3 months ago, when I was on a mission, I encountered a Jinchuriki column from Sunagakure village who lost control of his power, and the tailed beast rioted. The third generation of Kazekage was injured in order to suppress the tailed beast. Namikaze Minato was surprised that such a thing happened. Orochimaru smiled yinly. Body injury is second, the price of the tailed beast's riot is the death of the human Jinchuriki column force. In order to reseal the tailed beast, the 3 generations of Kazekage will drag the body seriously, spend a lot of chakra, and seal the tailed beast in a hurry. In just 3 months, Kazecage's strength has never recovered. That is to say, Kazekage will not be able to deal with us on our mission this time. Without Kazekage, Sunagakure village would not dare to deal with us. Namikaze Minato suddenly realized, and then he was still a little worried. What if they are desperate to kill us with an army of ninjas? Then they have to prepare for a war with Konoha. A harsh voice came from the side, and the Anbu ninja, who had not spoken, opened his mouth, full of murderous intent. Unexpectedly, I was worried about the obstruction of other villages, but when I arrived at Sunagakure village, I didn't show up once. Half a month later, Gong Squad and Namikaze Minato Squad entered Sunagakure village unimpeded and were even welcomed. Something is wrong. Orochimaru was also a little unsure, and just told everyone to be careful. A formal peaceful visit has many procedures, but it has nothing to do with Gongyi, he just needs to do his part. 3 days later, when the visit was over, Orochimaru said goodbye to Kazekage with satisfaction and prepared to return to the village. Yellow sand fluttered, and a dozen ninjas marched towards the border of the Land of Fire unhurriedly. The state of the 3 generations of Kazekage seems to be vigorous, but in fact it is false. His injury is more serious than I imagined. Orochimaru said casually, and both Namikaze Minato and Gongyi who were beside him nodded. No wonder the trip went so smoothly. Sunagakure village did not dare to neglect, and even agreed to renew the peace treaty next year. When Kazekage is seriously injured, Sunagakure will not be so good if he doesn't cooperate and attracts the army of Konoha ninjas. Ogawara and the others followed behind, feeling a little happy. After just 1 trip, they completed an S-rank mission. Although they were only assisting the ninjas, they did their best. Suddenly, Orochimaru raised his hand and waved, and everyone stopped. Gongyi also tensed up instantly. The S-rank mission is really not that simple. Namikaze Minato raised both hands and shot the shuriken directly. Enemy attack, prepare for battle. Chapter 57 Hundreds of Tolerance Siege. Second more. Ding, ding, ding. Yellow flash, that's all it seems. A man wearing white tight-fitting short sleeves and a black vest appeared on the hill. He was holding a strange long sword in his hand. Just now, he used this sword to smash all the shuriken that Namikaze Minato shot out with great speed. Hearing the enemy belittling him, Namikaze Minato didn't get angry, just smiled. Who are you? Kurosuke Lei Kiba, but you don't have to remember who I am, you just need to know that today I will use this knife to hold a beautiful funeral for you. Namikaze Minato raised his eyebrows. Kurosuke Rai Kiba, the 7 Kurigakure ninja swordsman, the owner of Raiden Kiba. Orochimaru pushed aside Namikaze Minato and stepped forward slowly. 1 ninja sword alone is not enough to see, unless all 7 of the ninja swords are gathered together, let the others come out too. As soon as these words were said, a large number of ninjas suddenly appeared on the mountain surrounded by sand and soil. At a glance, there were hundreds of people. Among them, Genin and Chunin occupy the majority, and there are as many as a dozen people who exude a strong momentum. With such a crowd, surround the Konoha 12. Orochimaru smiled grimly and licked his lips. So many people take us seriously. A vicissitudes of life sounded from a distance, and then got closer. The black market bounty for Orochimaru worth as much as 90 million taels is certainly worthy of our attention. A man in a mask comes to the front. The mask is only halfway up and will cover the area below his eyes. Seeing this person, Gong Yi's heart skipped a beat. Kakuzu. In Akatsuki, together with Hidan, there is an existence known as the Undead Duo, and it even claims to have fought with the first generation of Konoha Hokage Senju Hashirama. Unexpectedly, he would actually participate in this siege. Kakuzu was condescending, his eyes swept over everyone. Orochimaru, the bounty is 90 million taels. Yellow Flash, 40 million bounty. Konoha Genius, Dark Blue Devil, Gong Yi, bounty 20 million taels. Anbu Jonin, the bounty is 15 million taels. Others, no bounty. Tisk tisk, altogether, there is no Orochimaru bounty as high as one person. So, I will be responsible for Orochimaru alone. Rushed straight towards Orochimaru without even saying his own name. Bold. An Anbu ninja rushed out, trying to block Kakuzu, but halfway through, he was killed by a ninjutsu that Kakuzu released at will. Orochimaru frowned. This masked enemy was stronger than he thought. However, he was not an easy person either, biting his fingers and slapping them on the ground. The art of psychic. 9 big snakes descended out of thin air, holding their heads high and spitting out letters. You rely on the giant snake to fight, this person, leave it to me. Orochimaru shouted and rushed towards Kakuzu without fear. As soon as the two played against each other, various ninjutsu emerged in an endless stream, and the fight became dark in an instant, and no one dared to approach. The Kakuzu Master Forbidden Technique is a grudge and has 5 hearts with different attributes, which can release many powerful ninjutsu. It can even fuse ninjutsu with different attributes to form a combined ninjutsu similar to the 3 generations of Hokage. And Orochimaru, as the favorite disciple of the 3 generations of Hokage, loves to study ninjutsu very much, and is very strong. In the battle between the two, no one can intervene at all. Kurosuke Kiba glanced at him and stopped paying attention, instead giving Namikaze Minato a wicked smile. There is a rumor in the ninja world that Yellow Flash is the fastest in the world. I would like to see if it is my Thunder Sword Kiba that is faster, or yours faster. Namikaze Minato told Kakashi and the others to be careful, then looked at him. Sorry, my opponent, but you're not the only one. Hiraishin activated and appeared behind a Jonin, without a single touch of suffering. That Jonin's neck was cut. Kurosuke Kiba's eyelids jumped, it was too fast. Gong Yi had already dealt with people at this time, and when he saw this scene, he couldn't help laughing. The first few shuriken threw by Namikaze Minato, but the prelude of him launching Hiraishin, most people don't watch out, they are simply lambs to be slaughtered. Even Jonin is not the enemy of his unity. Namikaze Minato Hiraishin suddenly launched, and the offensive immediately included 4 or 5 Jonin, and even Kurosuke Kiba was in his attack range. After paying attention there, Gong Yi took his enemies seriously. 5 Jonin. Little devil, I heard that you once killed 2 Jonins by yourself. Today, the 5 of us joined forces, and you died rightly. No wonder you're called the Dark Blue Devil. Yo, I'd be reluctant to kill such a small ninja. If you don't come, I will. The 20 million bounty is right in front of you. Soon as the battle started, Gong Yi had already opened the 8 inner gates, and directly raised it to the 4-gate state, covered with blue-green energy, covering the surroundings. There is no reason for Gong Yi to be inattentive. Hundreds of ninjas besieged 12 of them. In addition to such characters as Kakuzu and Kurosuke Lei Kiba, there are more than a dozen Jonin. On the Konoha side, apart from Orochimaru, there are only 3 Jonin. Spread out, one person has to face several Jonins. It seems that they are dangerous, but in fact Kakashi, Hyuga, they are even more dangerous. Fortunately, before Orochimaru and Kakuzu fought, they summoned 9 giant snakes to help them, otherwise they would be killed in an instant. Gong Yi cautiously looked at the 5 Jonins surrounding him, and the corners of his mouth twitched. It turned out that he already had a big name. Dark Blue Devil. It doesn't sound very good, but it's reluctant. But since they call themselves demons, they must have the courage to face themselves. Gong Yi slammed his right hand on the ground and drank lightly. Crack the earth and turn palms. Chapter 58 Namikaze Minato. Third more. Boom. A dull thunder-like sound suddenly sounded, followed by a click. The earth, under the palm of Gong Yi's palm, split into 2 halves. A huge crack appeared in an instant. Cracks spread faster and faster, heading straight for the front Jonin. The man was terrified and wanted to run away, but the surrounding chakra was shrouded, the ground trembled, and he was directly trapped in it. When he fell into it, the earth suddenly closed, leaving no gap. Gong Yi withdrew his hand and rushed out of the gap, looking at the remaining 4 with a sneer. Under his feet, there was a flat surface, as if the crack like a huge mouth in the abyss had never appeared before. 4 Jonin watched this scene, and in an instant, they were a little unresponsive. This little devil, actually 1 to 5, dares to attack first, this is too courageous. Gong Yi breathed a sigh of relief and killed a Jonin directly with the cracking earth and turning his palms. For him, it was still a bit laborious. This ninjutsu requires a little more chakra. Still, the results were brilliant. Taking advantage of the carelessness of the 5 people on the opposite side and before they entered the fighting state, Gong Yi decisively seized the opportunity. And now, there are only 4 left. Be careful, this guy is not to be messed with. We shouldn't be careless about someone with the title of Dark Blue Devil. I'll die if I die, I don't know that guy anyway. Hearing the words on the other side, Gong Yi's heart moved. The group of ninjas who besieged them did not come from the same ninja organization. Raiden Thunder Style, Ground Walk. Raiden Thunder Style, Thunder Tiger Kill. A huge lightning bolt suddenly rushed out, and a wolf-like roar rushed towards Gong Yi. On the ground, dense lightning bolts gushed out. In addition to these 2 ninjas, the other 2 ninjas also quickly cooperated. One took out the scroll, the other summoned Shadow Clone, held Kunai hostage, and rushed towards him frantically. Sweden Water Style Waterfall. In this desert, inside the scroll, a huge waterfall suddenly rushed out and charged towards Gong Yi. Generally speaking, in places without water, it is not easy to use Sweden Water Style unless it is as powerful as the 2nd generation Hokage Senju Tobirama. Especially in the desert. But using the Sweden Water Style with scrolls makes sense. The huge amount of water is sealed in the scroll, and it can be used at critical moments. Sweden Water Style helps Raiden Thunder Style, the previous Raiden Thunder Style ninjutsu walk, the power is greatly increased. Almost instantly, Gong Yi was in a life-and-death situation. Gong Yi's 4 doors opened, and he stepped back quickly. However, the speed of Raiden Thunder Style was not slower than him, especially the ninja who summoned Shadow Clone besieged him on the side. Lianhua up. Gong Yi bit Kiba and couldn't go back. Retreat will lead people to Konoha's Genin Chunin group. Gong Yi kicked a cross leg, directly kicking away a feigned clone, and then hugged the attacking Jonin sideways, chakra poured out, and wrapped it tightly. Immediately, Gong Yi took the Jonin and was about to rush to the sky and use the lotus flower to strangle the Jonin. However, the next moment, Raiden Thunder Style, under the blessing of Sweden Water Style, has already affected him. Gong Yi wanted to resist, but his body felt numb. Oops. Gong Yi-'s expression changed drastically. He had no experience in fighting Raiden, Thunder-style ninjas. He had never felt this kind of numbness. With a savage kick to kick out the wrapped enemy, Gang Yi quickly adjusted his state. Roar. The roar has come to the ear, and the Thunder Tiger Tong kill released by the enemy before is right in front of him. It's too late. Gang Yi intends to open the fifth gate instantly and resist this ninjutsu. But at this moment, a light flashed in front of him. Namikaze Minato appeared beside him, grabbed his shoulder, and with a flash, he appeared on the head of a giant snake. It was Namikaze Minato who, using Hiraishin, rushed to his side and forcibly saved him from danger. Although the fifth door is opened, with his strong body, he has great confidence to resist this blow. But it is best to avoid it. Gang Yi looked at Namikaze Minato who was panting slightly. Thank you. Namikaze Minato shook his head. No, we have to fight quickly, there are too many enemies. Namikaze Minato moved and was about to start again, but he stopped and looked at Gang Yi seriously. If you can't stop it, you try your best to survive. The one from Anbu and I will create a chance for you to escape. This is Namikaze Minato's decision at this moment after seeing Gang Yi kill a Jonin quickly. As seniors, protect juniors, and protect the next generation of Konoha. This is Konoha's will of fire. After that, Namikaze Minato left Hiraishin directly without waiting for Gang Yi to reply. Are too many enemies. Namikaze Minato uses Hiraishin to rescue and help his companions while killing them. Even Yellow Flash is tired and injured at the moment. And it is difficult for him to take care of everyone by himself. 9 giant snakes, 5 have been beheaded, and 7 low-level ninjas have also suffered casualties at this time. Even the taciturn Anbu Jonin, who was besieged by the remaining 3 or 4 Jonin, started to get hurt, and it seemed like he couldn't resist. Gang Yi watched him leave in surprise, and he wanted to say, Namikaze Minato, you are also very young. You are also the future of Konoha and even the next Hokage. Probably this is the will of fire in the mouth of the old man of the 3rd generation. Gang Yi pursed his lips. Although he did not agree with the idea of keeping all young people under his wing, he was also moved at this moment. But only moved. He has his own ideas. But now. Gang Yi looked at the 4 ninjas who had found him and rushed over quickly, with a cruel smile on the corner of his mouth. This war is no longer just for completing the mission, but for one's own survival. 12 times the gravity technique. Solution. Duman. Open. Piran's energy surged into the sky and the earth. A figure swooped down from the head of the giant snake. Bursts of explosions were heard in the air, and the earth trembled. Chapter 59 Spike. How come? How did his speed become so much faster? Only he is extremely good at physical skills in the data. I thought he was the fastest before, but I didn't expect to have reservations. Watch out, he's here. The 4 Jonin, Gang Yi ran wildly across the desert, and the sound of explosions breaking through the speed of sound could be heard incessantly. The rolling yellow sand kept stirring up because of his speed, but because he couldn't keep up with Gang Yi's speed, he could only fall behind. When Gang Yi ran towards the 4 Jonin, it was as if a yellow dragon was following behind him, roaring. There were other ninjas who were besieging them along the way. Gang Yi beheaded them mercilessly as they passed by. Either a punch, or a palm, under the contact, there is no one enemy. Kurosuke Kiba, who was fighting with Namikaze Minato, saw this scene and couldn't help but lose his mind. What is that? That's the 8 inner gates of our Konoha. But fight me, and dare to be distracted. Ah! A scream, Kurosuke Kiba clasped his arms tightly and stepped back in panic. Gang Yi finally saw his enemy after finishing the ninja in his way. Die me! Gang Yi speeded up again, and at this moment, he undoubtedly reached the peak. A mere Jonin was kicked by him without even seeing his movements. Click! Click! The sound of bone cracking was incessant. Gang Yi's elbow struck, and that Jonin's head shattered like a watermelon was broken. Blood poured wildly. Gong Yi didn't even look at it, he moved towards the next goal. Raiden Thunder Style Lightning Armor. The enemy didn't want to stand still, and quickly released a ninjutsu, crackling lightning, and wrapped it. Seeing this scene, Gong Yi grinned, and quickly gathered chakra with his right hand. In an instant, a ball the size of a palm took shape. Rasengan. Raiden Thunder Style Ninjutsu is not known for its defense, especially in the face of high-level ninjutsu like Rasengan, which has its own high-speed rotation and generates huge tearing power in an instant. Gong Yi slammed Rasengan into the enemy's stomach, and unparalleled tearing power poured into him. Then accelerate, swirl, and stir the flesh and bones. Blink of an eye, Gong Yi's hands had already passed through the enemy's stomach, punching a big hole in his chest and abdomen. The remaining two people watched this scene, their legs trembling unconsciously. One of them is good at using Suiten water style and the other is good at taijutsu. However, in this desert area, Suiten water style was restrained to the limit. Previously, he could only use ninjutsu scrolls to summon water, and he did not kill Gong Yi even in cooperation with others. Now his combat effectiveness is greatly reduced. And the one who is good at physical arts, when he saw Gong Yi's movements several times faster than himself, he knew that he had met his nemesis. Gong Yi pulled out his right hand and hung it in front of him. Tick! Blood and bones fell into the dust, announcing the disappearance of the two Jonins. It was just 2 contacts, 1 headshot and 1 belly piercing. The cruelty of the scene made other people on the battlefield look at him. Orochimaru, who is playing against Kakuzu, shines. As expected of a genius who is favored by the teacher, he has such strength. Kakuzu was also stunned. Orochimaru was more difficult than he thought. I originally thought that with my rich combat experience, 5 hearts with different attributes could quickly take down the opponent. But since the fight, he didn't even take the lead, instead he was frequently injured by Orochimaru's strange ninjutsu. Fortunately, he has 5 hearts and can constantly switch between 5 types of ninjutsu, and he can barely suppress Orochimaru. But things are not so good on other battlefields. Known as Yellow Flash, the number of chakras is not too much, but the time and space ninjutsu is too fast. Almost with his own power, he revitalized most of the battlefield. Gong Yi, who was not in his eyes, also burst into shocking strength at this time. It's a quick fight, and then drag it on. If those 2 people let go, I'm afraid I won't be able to leave. The 2 Jonins opposite Gong Yi looked at each other and nodded tacitly. Escape. Once they made up their minds to run away, the 2 stopped fighting, hurriedly released 2 ninja tricks, and then dispersed and fled. Gong Yi grinned and wanted to run now. Why did he go earlier? As soon as his body moved, he immediately chased after the ninja who was good at taijutsu, but before chasing, he raised his left hand, and the 7-handed shuriken attacked the other person in a zigzag shape. Gong Yi's speed was too fast, and he was in front of the enemy in an instant. Boy, don't think I'm afraid of you. Don't be afraid, what are you running for? Since you have the idea of killing us, you must have the determination to pay the price, and die for me. Gong Yi kicked out with a volley, and his momentum was heavy. Jonin's response was not slow, and he blocked directly with his hands. However, Gong Yi's strength was too great, and as soon as he touched it, he flew upside down as if hit by a tailed beast. A figure rushed to the sky. Immediately, Gong Yi gathered chakras in his hands and used Rasengan again, attacking the enemy's abdomen from top to bottom. Bang! A big hole appeared on the ground, and Gong Yi's enemy, with his eyes wide open, died unwillingly. Gong Yi's eyes rolled. It's just you. The Jonin who is good at Suiten water style hastily blocked Gong Yi's shuriken. Hearing the loud noise from behind, he trembled. Must run, or I'll die here. He bit Kiba, hand seal. An identical water body appeared in front of him, carrying half of his chakra, and ran in the other direction. I see which one you go after. Gong Yi stopped and narrowed his eyes. Looking at the people fleeing in both directions, he licked the corner of his mouth. Found you. Chapter 60 Repel Kakuzu, 5th More. During the few months that Gong Yi rested, it was more than just practicing A-level ninjutsu. He has never stopped cultivating in divine refinement. When his mental power exceeded 50 points, the divine refinement technique reached the 2nd level. Bringing a huge amount of spiritual power to Gong Yi, the 2nd layer divine art has other magical uses. For example, to distinguish between true and false. A mere water body composed of chakra was quickly seen through by him. Gong Yi didn't care about this avatar at all, and rushed straight towards him. After the ninja uses water, it will divide half of the chakra, and its own strength will be greatly damaged. The desert itself is not suitable for Suiten, water-style, ninjas to fight. After losing half of his strength, facing Gong Yi's pursuit, after only a few dozen seconds, it is difficult to support. With a miserable roar, Gong Yi slowly walked back to the battlefield. Were 5 Jonins in total who besieged him. And at this time, all died. With a cold glance, the situation of the battlefield has a panoramic view. Not so good. Gong Yi's expression was a little dignified. Just when he was about to help Konoha's low-level ninja, there was a flash around him, and Namikaze Minato, covered in blood, appeared beside him. Minato, are you all right? Namikaze Minato shook his head, looking tired. It's all right, the blood on your body belongs to the enemy. Gong Yi, listen to me, now, you go to help Lord Orochimaru first, only if he solves it, we can be completely safe. Gong Yi's brows furrowed tightly, and his team members were in danger. Even Kakashi, who doesn't usually deal with it very much, was seriously injured at this moment and reluctantly took on the fight. Don't worry, with me, I will protect Kakashi, Hyuga, and the others. Hearing Minato say that, Gong Yi nodded. Look at the most intense battlefield, where is the key to decide the outcome? Taking a deep breath, Gong Yi stepped on both feet, and with the help of a powerful recoil, went straight to Kakuzu. Little devil, you are very courageous. How dare you intervene? Gong Yi didn't answer, and started directly with Lionwa. Kakuzu was not afraid at all, his body shook, and a monster wearing a mask broke away from his body and fought with Gong Yi. Orochimaru's side also intensified its attack, entangled Kakuzu tightly, and even attacked from time to time. Can be seen that Orochimaru is also angry and wants to leave Kakuzu completely in this desert. The chubby body, Yuhi-colored lips, and the whole look weird and dangerous. Gong Yi cautiously looked at this Kaiden fire-style mask and did not dare to be careless. Kakuzu's general information, he knows some. For example, this man claims to be immortal. For example, this man fought the original Hokage and survived by luck. Even in the later stage, Kakuzu was killed by the 7th and 10th classes led by Kakashi, and the protagonist Naruto was there. In its heyday, Gong Yi certainly wasn't afraid of a Kaiden fire-style mask monster in the Kakuzu district. But he had fought a battle before, killing 5 Jonin, which was extremely draining. Released 3A level ninjutsu, physical strength, mental strength, are not at the peak. And most importantly, it's been a long time since the 8 inner gates, duration, and now there are only 2 minutes left. We must fight quickly. Gong Yi calmed down a little and rushed over to Kaiden, fire-style mask monster. However, only halfway through, a fiery flame spit out from the mask monster's mouth. Kaiden, fire-style, head hard. A piece of flame rushed out, and the tiny fireball fell on the ground and burned in an instant, and it was a sea of fire in an instant. Gong Yi frowned, the rock armor covered his body without hesitation, and rushed towards the mask monster. Near. Only by getting close can one's physical skills be brought into full play. Kaiden, fire-style, is very powerful, and even Gong Yi can't stand the heat. However, Gong Yi's speed is faster, and Kaiden, fire-style, can't keep up with more than half of the damage. Kakuzu, who was fighting with Orochimaru, immediately separated another mask monster. With a blue face pattern, 2 wings on his back, and 4 legs lying on the ground, it is the Futon Wind style mask monster he collected. Futon Wind style with Kaden Fire style, the power is multiplied several times. It is no longer as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. If the 2 mask monsters are combined, Gong Yi, who has been fighting for a long time, is absolutely unstoppable. Gong Yi bit Kiba and made a risky decision. Jingmun, open. The potential of the human body is fully tapped. A green light shines brightly. Gong Yi, Yuhi with both eyes, before the 2 masked monsters merged, used the 8 inner gates, which had never been mastered before. Morning Peacock. Quote. An energy body like a peacock and phoenix emerged from the body, and a shocking chirping sounded from the sky. Boo! Peacock passed through the Kaden Fire style mask monster and killed it on the spot. A trace of blood spilled from the corner of Kakuzu's mouth, a heart, gone. Orochimaru, who was facing him, suddenly stuck out his tongue. You couldn't kill me when you were in your prime, and now you are fighting against me, and you dare to split up into 2 clones and die for me. 10,000 snakes, come out. The array of 10,000 snakes. Rashomon. Orochimaru's long-stalked serial killer moves are used in an instant, and Kakuzu is directly in danger. Sweetened water style mask monster, die. The Futon Wind style mask that just released is weird, die. No, Orochimaru is too difficult to deal with. He and I have 5 or 5 points, and I have added an extra kid who is good at advanced physical skills. It seems that I can't get the bounty this time. Go. Kakuzu fiercely released a ninjutsu, hit Rashomon in vain, and he pulled away and retreated. Passing by Gong Yi, he wanted to drop the killer by the way, but Gong Yi stared at him without fear, with a pair of cold eyes, and the chakra in his hands quickly condensed. This guy is not easy to deal with. Leave him alone. Kakuzu turned his head away, ignored Gong Yi, and ran straight to the center of the battlefield. There are many ninjas there, and he can collect a few hearts as a temporary consumption. Raiden Thunder style False Darkness. Dozens of indiscriminate thunderbolts fell from the sky, madly bombarding the ninjas on the ground. The distance, Namikaze Minato shouted in a hurry. Kakashi, get out of the way. Equals.